Good morning. I have a big exclamation point. Welcome from the Nonprofit Institute, and we're happy to see a good number of you have joined us today for this valuable training. We have about 35 people registered, so we shall see if everyone shows up. This class today, social media platforms, tracking your traffic. We are excited to offer this. This topic is usually pretty popular. My name is Kara Fogarty, and as most of you know, I work with the Nonprofit Institute. My colleague, Robin Finicom, is with us today, and Michelle Sullivan will be joining us as well. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. We're not sure why our chat function is not working. It may be a leftover setting from when we had our conference and we turned it off, but we'll sort that out. We might be able to get it working, but in the meantime, if you have questions, you can use the raise hand feature and actually have a conversation perhaps with Sheba with Q&A. So we'll handle that as we go. Just want to let you know there will be a few breaks during this class, so it's not 3.5 hours nonstop. And finally, we are recording this and it'll be made available to you afterwards. We this morning are pleased to welcome our instructor, Sheba Smith, for our class today. I just want a little bit about Sheba. Sheba is a mission-oriented marketing professional. She began her career in the nonprofit sector as a PR coordinator, advocating for people with disabilities. She co-manages Because Marketing. It's a firm dedicated to providing communications and marketing solutions for organizations devoted to community enhancement and social improvement. So I think it would be safe to say she is nonprofit friendly. Experiences have allowed her to share her skills with a long list of causes, including domestic violence, homelessness, substance abuse, social justice issues, and hunger, just to name a few. And this is what she does in her spare time because, fun fact, she also has a full-time job. She's marketing director for Intrepid. She helps businesses compute with clarity in areas such as cybersecurity, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and unified communication. Sheba's pretty active in the community. She's active with several professional and civic organizations, including the American Marketing Association, the Charles County Chamber of Commerce, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, and the Zonta Club of Charles County. She has a master's degree in business administration and marketing management from the University of Maryland, as well as a bachelor's degree in communications and electronic media film from Towson University. Some of you may know Sheba, some of you may remember her from our conference last month. And Sheba, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Kara. That was so great. I can skip the entire introduction. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for joining us today. As you can see, I'm kind of like a ball of energy. So I really hope that the information that I provide for you today, you'll be able to take in. As you said, feel free to raise your hands. There are specific sections within the presentation. I think it'll be best to take questions. But if you raise your hand, we'll make sure that we get to you so that we're able to answer those as we go. Okay, so welcome to social media platforms, tracking your traffic. Just to let you know a little bit about me, was pretty much everything was said, but I do have two screens up. So if you see my gaze kind of turn a little bit, it's going to be more so during the interactive activities. We have some things planned for you all today. So I might just kind of turn my head so I can make sure that I see your answers and we're all engaged. I have about 10 years of experience in marketing. Kara pretty much did a great job of going over everything else there. And I am the co-manager of Because Marketing. That is our website. If at any time after this presentation you have questions, I will show a contact slide. Feel free to contact me and we can have maybe a 15 or 30-minute discussion about some strategic planning and getting you set for your social media and pushing everything forward. Just a little bit of information about Intrepid. I am the marketing director there as well. IT is an interesting area. It's always ever changing, and so it's marketing. And so that gives me the opportunity to remain on the forefront of a lot of the things coming forward, whether it's in the tech world, which we know social media is a combination of both. So I'm hoping that the information I provide for you today, you'll be able to utilize in a positive and impactful way. Now, in the nonprofit industry, We all know a little about a lot. That's pretty much what I say. And the reason that I say that is because you usually find that in the nonprofit industry, we're wearing a lot of hats. We're filled with go-getters. There's a lot of jobs to do. Usually the person who's doing social media or just marketing in general, that is not their sole job. So I was kind of in that sense. We all kind of know a little about a lot, like I was saying. I do not consider myself an expert in any sense, but rather someone who has been able to gain a wealth of information and then be able to put that forth successfully and implement it. So if you've tried something, had success with it, have failed, want to try but don't know, have a great thing that you thought was awesome that totally worked, please feel free to chime in because I think that by working together, we'll get the most out of this class. The class does have various opportunities to engage, and each time may be different. So I'm just going to go over some of the different ways. Because the chat function is disabled at this moment, once, like Kara said, again, feel free to raise your hands and then we can just go ahead. You can unmute and you can ask your questions. We can do it that way. No question is off limits. No question is a dumb question. If I do not have the answer to the question, I will do my best to try to get you that answer and get back to you. So definitely feel free to ask whatever questions you may have. I just wanted to put these up and some of these slides, not all of them, but some of them will be available after the class is over. So, but you are more than welcome to screenshot if you want to, or copy the slide or write down, take notes. These are my go-tos for social media. So if you're looking for a blog, a podcast, or anything to help guide you through your social media journey, I suggest looking into these particular sites. They have great information. They're always on what's the latest platform that's coming out, how successful it is, how to do your advertising. We always know that social media is ever changing. It seems like they come out with something every so many months. The algorithms are always changing. If you want to keep up with that stuff, these are the sites to go to. And some of them even have conferences. Like I know Social Media Examiner, they're working on turning what was their in-person conference into a virtual conference. And I think that that's going to be coming next year. So just some different resources that you might want to keep in your notebook. There are going to be a lot of resources throughout this presentation that you can use for your social media. So again, feel free to take a screenshot, write down your notes, whatever is easiest for you. The first is Sprout Social. I did talk about Social Media Examiner. HubSpot is a CRM platform. They do have a free version. We'll get into a little bit of that a little later. They put out some great information. They also have some great trainings. I recently completed the HubSpot social media certification and got a wealth of information. And I'm going to be bringing some of that information to you today as well. And then lastly, Buffer. All right. So now let me go back several years and give you an idea of where my experience comes from with digital marketing and social media. And explain how it all began. So we do have polls for you today. This is the first Zoom poll. And Robin or Kara, do we have that Zoom poll up? Perfect. Who remembers MySpace? Oh, everybody remembers MySpace. I love it. Okay, some people don't. That's fine. Starting to move on the ticker. Okay, so the majority of you remember MySpace. Wonderful. And there's one who does not know MySpace, and that is fine. MySpace was one of the I would say social media probably started in the late 90s. MySpace probably came in the early 2000s or something like that. And I'm just going to show you this while I'm talking because it kind of shows you, and I think it's really neat. This is called Data is Beautiful, and they provide data on pretty much anything that you can think of. And this particular one shows that how the evolution of social media starting back in the early 2000s. And as we can see, MySpace is on top. So I started using social media before Facebook was even thought about. MySpace was actually the first platform that I jumped on. And then after that, social media came out. I was in college when social media launched, and it was specifically for college students. So I was on Facebook when Facebook was just for college students. And I got on there leisurely, like we do today, to check out my friends. I don't know if you guys saw, it's kind of what I'm into. So the documentary on Facebook and how it started, but who liked who and all of this stuff, what your updates were, different things. This was a little different from MySpace, and at MySpace, it I think started the personal branding. You could go on your website, you could put your own music on, you could do your own background, but it was also, I believe, like coding associated with it. Facebook didn't have all of that. Facebook, you got on, it was already there for you. You had a templated, pretty much page. Computers. All right. I just want to make sure my computer stalled out a little bit. So I want to make sure that you guys are hearing everything. Okay. So let me see. All right. So we're back in action. So Facebook was actually easier to use. And then there started to be this huge migration from MySpace to Facebook. You can see like it just started falling off. We still had some other things like High Five. LinkedIn had made an early debut. Friendster was really popular at that time. And all of these social media platforms just started falling off. Facebook started just taking over. And that is still what we're seeing today. During the growth, others have come out, find where they belong. One second, sorry. During their growth, others have come out, found out where they belong. And then I'm just going to fast forward really quickly so we can kind of get to where we are today and see some of these other platforms come up. I want you to see how we got to the platforms that we're in today. Around, I think it was 2012, Instagram came out earlier than that, but around 2012, Facebook bought Instagram. I think it was around that time. And then Instagram literally just started shooting straight up the charts. Whatever they were doing for Facebook, they started implementing in Instagram. So I don't know if you guys know that or not, but a lot of the things that you can do on Facebook, you can do in Instagram, and there's a lot of ability to go back and forth between them. We then saw Google Plus. Everybody was all excited about Google Plus. That was Google's, push towards the social media world. But I don't necessarily think that they had quite a gauge on what they wanted to do or where they wanted to go. And so if we go forward, we can kind of see Google Plus starting to go back down. It never really took off. People were utilizing it for SEO purposes. People don't necessarily use Google Plus at all today. And so I wanted to show you this because I want to show you the platforms that people are on now. Because I know one of the things that we talk about in nonprofits is having all of these hats. What do I put my time into? What do I put the money into? How do I get the biggest bang for my buck? And so we can kind of see that now in 2015, we have Instagram on the table. We have Twitter on the table. Snapchat has made an appearance. We'll talk a little bit about Snapchat because I know everybody's wondering, well, what exactly is Snapchat and how do I get on in Twitter? TikTok is another one that people are usually interested in. And then LinkedIn starts to still climb. What I can say about LinkedIn, and it's been around a while, and it's definitely, I think, here to stay because of the niche that it serves. We'll talk a little bit about that. Jumping forward, let's see if we can get into, we have Pinterest entered. And then towards the end, and this just goes to 2020, so I'm gonna let it run out till about June. This is kind of where we end up. Facebook still is the social media master and really stays out in front of everyone. Instagram is the second social media platform behind that. Now, Qzone and Weibo, these are China-based companies, and they're more popular in that particular country as opposed to over here in the US. And then there is TikTok. We'll talk about TikTok. We'll talk about Twitter. We'll talk about Pinterest. We'll talk about Snapchat. We'll talk about LinkedIn. So we'll cover all of the major channels. And then VK is like the Russian version of Facebook. So that's just kind of letting you know what's out there right now or what tops the charts, because it's not necessarily what's out there, because there's tons and tons and tons and tons of platforms out there. So we're going to try to give you some ideas of what platforms you need to be on, so that you can get the best out of the initiatives that you're putting forward. Today, we're going to take a more of a strategic approach using these top channels. So we won't be logging into anything. I have a lot of screenshots. I know we have various abilities and different things that are on. And so you also may be using various channels. So we'll kind of get into that so I can get a gauge of what everyone is using, and then move forward. So I can make sure that we cater this class to those who are in attendance today. All right. So where do I start? This is the question that a lot of people are asking. Where is it that I start? I cannot tell you how many times I've worked with organizations who are so eager to get the results that they jump into action and completely miss the key aspects of making social media work for them. Most of the time, people are just like, oh, I need to be on this channel. I'm gonna set up a page and I'm gonna just start putting out stuff. I'm gonna make posts. I'm gonna start making content. Let's get it out there and let's see how it does. And I understand the excitement about that, but let me tell you what this does. You don't get the data that you need to evaluate whether your goals are being achieved or not. And so it leads to confusion and more so chaotic environments. You don't know what channel you're going to be on. You might be on all the channels. You might be on one channel. Don't know if that channel is right for you, if it's really hitting the target market that you're trying to reach. And so you have this state of confusion. I don't really know what's going on the channel. I'm just posting. It looks like it's working. I'm getting likes. People are following me. And so it's just a confusing time and period. What also happens is that people overexert themselves because they're on every channel when they really don't need to be on every single channel. Or, like I said, they're just on the wrong channels. And so they're not getting that return on investment that they were seeking. The next thing is they get overwhelmed. They get so much data and have no idea how to sort through it. And so it's just information that's out there and they never really pay attention to it. Left without resources because there's no benchmarks. And so they just don't take the moment to look at the outcomes. And what happens is it starts wasting time. It starts wasting money, which in the nonprofit sector, we need all the money we can get, right? And we need all the time because we wear all of those hats. So you want to make sure that you utilize the resources that are provided for you today so you don't run into that type of situation. Then you have the other hand of it, right? You're completely successful. You're getting all of the traction that you could possibly think of. And then it's working, but you don't evaluate it. And so you have no idea what exactly is working. You can't really strategically plan for, maybe I should do more content on a particular subject. Maybe these are the people that I want coming to my channel. It's working. I just don't know what is working. And so you're overexerting yourself and you're getting stuck in that situation by just keep putting out information, but not necessarily having an idea of what works best. And this may be fine while everything is working, but what happens when an algorithm changes? Or what happens when you're just putting stuff out there and it stops working? Then it's hard to understand, well, what needs to change so that I can once again gain that success? And then comes the bad decisions. So in a nonprofit world, as we said before, we wear many hats. So it's understandable why planning may get skipped or there's a limited amount of time. And we're developing our next fundraisers, we're reaching out to our donors, we're reaching out to our sponsors, we're coming up with content. And now content is visual. So not only are you coming up with the text, but you're also coming up with the video, and then you're also coming up with the graphic to go with the text. And you have to get it out on multiple channels. Not to mention, you're also running your website. And everybody's trying to go viral. So we're going to show you how to do that, but go do it from behind the scenes, not necessarily making yourself viral, but helping you get your brand and your organization out there. And I know this firsthand because I came up in the nonprofit industry. And so I had to educate myself, just as you are doing today, on the best ways to build a foundation. That's what we're going to work on today, is building that social media foundation so that when you do your social media, you'll be able to move forward successfully and not ask yourself, what now? Because this is what we're trying to prevent. A whole lot of chaos. Because like management thinker Peter Drucker says, you can't manage what you can't measure. So many times organizations measure the impact of their finances. They measure the outcomes of grants because you have to, right? In order to apply for the grants, you have to have that data that you're submitting to them. And then you have to have the data about how the grant was successful. But for some reason, people are leaving out marketing. And that could really help you in just your overall goals for the organization. So rather than using intuition to drive those actions, we really want to focus on the numbers and how to get those numbers. And that's pretty much the premise behind that quote. You can't be successful unless you are able to define and track your actions. So by performing some key tasks, such as conducting a social media audit of your channels, planning out your goals, selecting key performance indicators to help you measure your activities, you can gain insight into the content that is being developed via these channels. And in that way, you become an influencer, like we said, from behind the scenes, working for that background. All right, so we're going to do something a little engaging, and I'm really excited about this. I need you all to open up a separate browser, and I need you to put this link inside of that browser. And Karen, Robin, this is where I may need a little bit of assistance. You do have to put it in there. So where there's a capital P, use a capital P. Where there's lowercase letters, use the lowercase letters. And we don't have the ability to drop it in the chat. So if you can type it in, if anybody has any issues, please raise your hand and we'll make sure that you can get on. So I'm just going to go over to the site and just please give me one moment while I get it going.
And Sheba, this is Kara. I've got the chat back.
I'm sorry? Oh,
I got
great.
the chat back. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
I was waiting for a moment to pop in and tell you.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, wonderful. That's great. All right. And if anybody is having any issues, please let us know by either putting it in the chat or raising their hand. And what's going to happen is you're going to come on and it's going to ask you to enter your name. You can put your initials or whatever you're comfortable with. And I'm assuming that everyone is on. Can you put in the chat if everyone is on? Can I just get some thumbs ups or yes, I'm in. So I know that everyone is kind of getting on. All right, great. Thank you. Still working on it? Okay, we'll give a couple more minutes or a minute to get on. Okay, so somebody said, can I please show what I did again? So let's do this. What I did was just go to this website. You want to put this website into your browser and you want to make sure that you follow the capitalization. So capital P, lowercase o, lowercase l, capital E, lowercase v, facebook.com/smith820. All right, and now I see people are getting in. You're in. Wonderful, wonderful. Again, you can use your initials or you can use your name, whatever you're comfortable using. Let me jump back here. Just wanted to make sure. Oh, you guys are getting started. I love it. So this is our test question. I'm glad everyone is doing good or great today. So what I want you to do is just click on the face that resonates with you, and it'll start to record that. And as we can see, we have some people clicking in. Wonderful. I'm glad everyone is in such high spirits. Great. I'm glad you guys could get in. William, did you need us to still drop it in the chat? I want to make sure everyone is in before we move any further. Okay, so let me do this. Give me one moment. Let me see. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Kara. Wonderful. You guys are so helpful. We have great moderators. All right, let me just bring that out, back up so everyone can see it. Yes, 1 \. Okay. All right, so we have the majority of people in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is pretty much a test question just to make sure that everyone could get in. I know you guys can see somebody's waiting in the lobby area or the waiting room. I just want to make sure everybody can see the question because it's kind of covering up on my screen. I can let them in, but I don't want to just let anybody into the class if you guys aren't prepared to let in. Okay. All right. So we're getting ready to go to our next question. You guys know some information about me. I want to know some information about you all. So let's go, shall we? All right. So the first question is, how big is your organization? Now, you might be an international organization. You might be a national organization. You might be a regional organization. And that kind of differs on or helps out with the social media, right? Because sometimes if you're an international organization, but you're working in a local chapter or a local portion, the international organization is already putting out content for you. The same case in a national or regional organization. So you can kind of share that content, grab that content. If you're more so local, most of the times you're probably going to have to come up with the content yourself. Where the international organizations, you can kind of grab content from them and also come up with content particular to the area that you're working on. So this is really interesting. So we see that the majority of people are local. We have some regional, and then we have international as well. So that's really good to know, because that will make an effect that or have an effect on where your content is coming from. So good. Great job using this, you all. All right, so we're going to go to the next one. How big is your marketing department? This includes if you have no one in your marketing department, you're either a program director, executive director, maybe you're a staff and they just threw social media on you, or you're like, I got to do this. This is where I need to be. You have one part-time staff or you have a volunteer that's doing it. So it's not really their main focus on marketing and social media, but you do have someone that's kind of handling all of that information. You have 1 or 2 full-time staff, usually in nonprofits. When we get on the local level, it's more like 1 staff, and you're all doing all of the marketing. You might be doing some fundraising associated with that. And then, or you may have a development coordinator and you're just specifically focused on the marketing. It could be a mix. Okay, so the majority that we have here, 3 to 5 is like the greatest thing ever if you can have it. But you usually see that in more large, your national, your international organizations where they have bigger departments. So what we have with us today is, okay, a lot of people, almost half, either have 1 part-time staff or a volunteer doing the social media for them. Some people have no one doing the social media for them. And we're going to give you some tips because that can be a heavy load and it can become quite intimidating. And then we have a couple of people that maybe they have 1 or 2 staff, and this may be kind of part of their job duties or they're so focused. So that's really good to know. let's go to the next one. All right. How many social media channels does your organization have? 0, we haven't even touched social media. 1, you have one channel that you're focused on. 2, you know, I know I should be on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not really sure about the other channels or where I need to be. 3, okay. 4, okay. So we have some people that have a wide range, or their branding is getting out there. And then, you know, some people, they just save their name on every single channel because they don't know what they're going to use. Once the channel comes out, they're saving that name, right? Because you don't want somebody to take that name. You want to remain branded. And so they jump on everything. So they're on it, as many channels as it be. That's not to say that you're using it effectively, which you may be, but that you're on these channels, you have a presence on these channels. Okay. So we have, I would probably say about 1 or 2 people that have not started using social media at all. Okay, so I'm not necessarily sure if you guys know how to set up your pages or not, but that you can find a lot of YouTube channels on that. What this class is going to focus more so on is the strategic planning, and we're going to go through each individual channel to see what works best. And then in a minute, I'm going to get a gauge on what channels may work best or what to really focus on. 3 channels, that's really good. I can give you guys some tips on what 3 channels or channels, 2 channels is even good, 4 channels that you're on, as long as you're using them effectively and they're the channels that have your target market on them. If you are on channels that are not reaching your target market, then you're probably going back to that lack of resources because you're wasting time. If you've placed ads, it may have been a waste of money. And so we're going to kind of strategically think about that and see how that works. Okay. All right.
Sheba?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a question.
Sure.
Related to this. It's we're on 2 channels, but not using both. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I just need a little bit more clarification. When you say you're not using both, are the channels linked so that you're using one channel and the information is automatically being put on that channel, or is the other channel just completely stagnant?
Hi, this is Linda. We actually are using, we have Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
We've kept the Twitter account open, but we have not really used it. I'm new at this, but I've kind of have felt we haven't had Twitter content. I have a little bit of a background from my former job, but at that time we weren't doing Twitter. So Twitter, the whole Twitter thing is completely new to me.
Okay.
So we don't do much on Twitter, but we kept the account open. We're doing most of our stuff on Facebook.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at.
And that's fine. So we're going to go over both of those channels. What my suggestion is after today, if you feel as though Twitter may not be a channel that you're going to utilize, I would say just get rid of it. It's better to focus your efforts on the channels that you have content on, because what happens is people will find you on those channels and your page will look completely stagnant. And then they won't be interested because you're not putting any content on and it seems like you're not relevant. So if you're not using a channel, but it's up, I would just say, just disregard that channel and then focus on what you know how to do best. Now, with that being said, Facebook and Twitter, there are some very big differences between them. So your campaigns on them may be very different and the information that you put on there might be different as well. So when we get to Twitter, if you have any additional questions or as we go through it, I think that you'll get some ideas on what you can put on that channel to start to bring it back to life. And if that's the case, then definitely go forward with the channel and use it. But you don't want stagnant channels out there. Does that kind of answer the question up to this point? Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let's go to the next question. All right, don't answer because I got to get some instructions on this. So using one word at a time, list what social media channels you currently utilize. So if it's Facebook, for instance, Facebook and Twitter, right? You put Facebook, you submit, then you put Twitter, then you submit that. If it's Instagram, you can put in Instagram and you submit that. So we're going to put in one thing at a time. And what's going to happen is we'll start to see what people are utilizing the most. Okay, so I see Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, okay. LinkedIn, kudos to whoever's using LinkedIn. Okay, I see Facebook and Instagram getting bigger, so it seems like the majority. YouTube, I'm glad that we have some YouTube users on here. So the thing about YouTube while we're populating this is YouTube, which was not in the video in the beginning, it's kind of on the fence, right? It's people look at it as social media because you have your chat underneath, you can watch and you can talk about the video that you're watching. But YouTube has actually gone into the realm of a search engine. It is the #2 search engine behind Google. And we are going to talk about YouTube. So I'm really glad to see that on here. Okay, so it seems, let me see, I'm just going to write some of this down. It seems like the majority of people are using Facebook, Instagram, we have Twitter, and then some are using LinkedIn and YouTube. I think that after today, more of you may be using LinkedIn. We'll talk about that. But it does prove that #1, Facebook reigns, right? And #2, Twitter is second behind that. So apparently that video has some clout behind it. And then we have Twitter on there. Okay, let me see what we have next. Okay, so this, don't put anything in yet. This is vote up or vote down. How this works is put in what you want to hear about today. And then as they come on the screen, you have the option to click the thumbs up or thumbs down. And it'll let you know, okay, we're going to vote this up or we're going to vote this down. I want to hear more about this and I want to hear less about this. So as things come up, you have an opportunity to vote them in or vote them up or vote them down. So go ahead and put in what you are interested in hearing about today. How to track traffic. We're definitely going to go talk about that. Facebook. I have a whole section on Facebook. Analyzing metrics. All right, perfect. Reading data. We'll talk a little bit about that. All right. I see everybody's focused on Facebook. Now we will be getting into content on Twitter versus Facebook. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. We're going to talk about LinkedIn, everything Facebook. I'm not sure if I can get into everything Facebook today, but I'll do my best. How to best use LinkedIn. Okay. All right. So this is a lot of stuff. We're actually content and engaging. Perfect. We're actually going to talk about all of these things. So I'm sure that you guys will get the information that you're looking for. We are only in a 3-hour class. That's the only thing that I could say. So a lot of it will kind of be not necessarily a complete deep dive, but we'll go over into a lot of the different content, setting up ads, getting your metrics together, where to look for those metrics, resources to use those metrics and different things, how to read data. Okay, perfect, perfect. You're in the right class. Makes me happy. All right. And if I miss anything at the end that you have a question about, then definitely let me know and I'll try to provide the answer at that time. Okay, perfect. Wonderful, wonderful. Content and engaging. We're going to go over all of this stuff. Great job, you all. Thank you for engaging with me this morning. We're going to go back to our slides. All right, wonderful. And if you guys want to use that for engaging at your nonprofit, it is a free resource. This is my personal link that people can utilize, but the name of it is called Poll Everywhere. I want to make sure I'm giving you, yes, Poll Everywhere. Let me go back to the site just so I can make sure that you have it. And you can set up your polls. Yeah, Poll Everywhere. You can set up your polls. It allows you to activate different types of questions. But you can kind of go in and play with that a little bit. So thank you for participating with me on that today. All right, if there's anything you're going to get from this class, you guys, one thing you will get is resources. And we need resources in the nonprofit world because we have so much stuff to do. So anything that can make it easier, I'm willing to tell you today. So I do want to put out that social media should not be your whole digital strategy. You should be using it as a component of your inbound marketing. So your email blasts, your ads, your videos, your blogs, your newsletters, your websites, Social media is more like a lead generator that can then push people over to your website to gain information. So I have your attention. Now I have an action that I want you to complete. And we'll talk a little bit about that more as we go forward. Still, social media, when done right, can positively impact your digital strategy overall. A lot of times we find that boards or executives understand the importance of social media, but not necessarily, well, they're interested in how that's affecting the bottom line. And a lot of people are having trouble with figuring out or justifying the time that they put into social media. So they see you working on it, they see the traction that is having, but you can't necessarily justify what you're getting from it. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit more. This is the reason why you should have social media. So for those people who don't have social media and you're trying to figure out, okay, what channels I need to be on? Do I need to be on social media? If your board is asking you, why do you spend so much time on social media? This gives them this list. This is what you need to show them. Number one, it helps develop your service or product roadmap because you're doing social listening. You're hearing from the people that you're trying to reach. It helps you expand marketing campaigns. It generates interest in sales efforts or just any efforts that you're putting out there. Like if you're having an event, a fundraiser, different things like that, it starts to generate that. It helps you convert your leads, those people who are interested, into actual prospects so you can nurture them into taking the action or getting more involved with your organization. It enhances your recruiting efforts. Your HR personnel should love you if you're doing the social media because you can actually do recruiting, especially on LinkedIn for social media. And Facebook is another one if you have entry level jobs that will really help out with recruiting as well. Gains attention regarding your organization's latest news and general public relations. Whenever you have a story or something that you want to put out there, you have the information to put out there so you can start to generate that. You can have a direct reach to your customers, sponsors, and followers by providing one-on-one direct communication and have loyalty programs and address them there. You can establish brand ambassadors by utilizing your employees who have a very heavy social media base or volunteers that have that base and find who your strongest advocates are. They may be somebody who maybe is utilizing your services. It might be somebody who has a connection to the service that you're providing. Make those people your brand ambassadors. We'll talk a little bit about that. Establish your brand as a thought leader within the particular industry that you're in. Help you stay at the forefront in minds of stakeholders. Increase your web traffic. Stay on top of industry trends. Listen for conversations that are relevant to your brand or industry. So it kind of gives you the latest and greatest of what's going on. Twitter is really good for that. Help you with reputation management in a crisis communication situation where you can send email, but sometimes it takes a little longer for people to get to email. A lot of times I remember when people just started using Facebook for business, if I could not reach them on an email, I would pop a message in their inbox on Facebook and get a response right away. So those are some different ways that you can kind of use it in that sense for the reputation management in crisis. Target your advertising with a small budget. And in nonprofit industries, you either have a small budget or you may not have a budget at all, especially if you're just starting. If you do have a budget and it's limited, we'll talk about where to put your money and how to get your ads out there, with the difference between having a post, boosting a post, different things like that. Because we want to make sure that we get the biggest bang for our buck, basically, is what we're talking about. Keep an eye on your customers, and we'll talk about how to do that. Increase your search engine results, making sure that you have that SEO that's bringing it back to your web page or having people give you a call to find out more. And then get your message out faster. There's no delay. You pop it on social media and it's out. And it gives you another avenue to reach people where they are. So we will talk about all of that. So let's get into content, different types of content. There are educational and informational posts. So this is just maybe information about your services, different tips and tricks. stuff about information, maybe what's going on. This could be your success stories, testimonials, different things like that. Just kind of your daily what's going on. Let me educate you about the services. Let me educate you about the industry. For instance, mental health. Maybe your statistics, if you're a service that focuses on mental health, the statistics associated with mental health, providing the education to start getting people interested in what it is that you're doing. You then have your promotional posts. Your promotional posts are, when you're actually promoting, your event, your services, looking for your sponsors, different things like that. And then you have your entertaining posts. So these are like the GIFs. Maybe it's a picture of someone in your organization doing something. We just did a post for St. Patrick's Day. We got all the team to dress up in green, and then we posted out on that, and that was for Intrepid. And so there are those entertaining posts, things that kind of make people chuckle, laugh, different things like that. You want to be sure to follow the 80-20 mix, 20% being the promotional post. You don't want to seem as though you have your hand out the entire time. So your channel should be more filled with educational and informational tips in those entertaining posts. And then trickle throughout there, you need to have, well, here is how you can sponsor. We're having an event. Here's how you can donate. These are the donations that we're receiving, because people want donate, 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 but donations may not always be monetary. They're also in-kind donations. Maybe you should put a post out about these are the services that we need as far as in-kind donations are concerned. Marketing, legal, administrative, those type of things. People, they're in a profession and they might want to give back. And so that may save you money from outsourcing or even taking time from you doing it yourself. So you want to make sure that you follow that 80-20 mix. And just don't continuously, can I get? You want to encourage also your readers to comment, like, and share. So in the post, we'll say, share this if you agree that mental health is important, and then people will share and they'll start commenting. Let us know what you think about a particular section in the comments, different things like that. Sometimes you have to kind of tell people what you want from them. Give them the action that you want them to complete, and start seeing engagement build that way. Okay, including different elements. In your post, you want to include elements such as nice photographs. Now we can take photographs with this handy dandy little thing right here. Make sure your camera is clean. These phones, some of them have good resolution and things. We can take them on the go. If you have an ability to, you can use a photographer. There are some that have those in-kind services, right? See if you can get a photographer to take pictures for you and utilize them so that they're a little bit more high resolution. And then you have the sites that will provide photos for you. And we will go and talk about that. And I'll give you some for your resource toolbox, so you can have nice photos on your social media. GIFs, a lot of people use Giphy.com, GIFI.com. And I can throw that in the chat. Let's see if I get Giphy.com to make GIFs, those moving kind of pictures that people are utilizing. And the good thing about GIFs is it helps break down difficult ideas quickly. So it's a moving photo. You can kind of get to the point of what you're trying to do and get that out there. Video, I would say anything visual is king. Text is good, but right now we live in such a microwave society that people are just scrolling quickly. You need something that's going to catch their attention. So if you have the ability to use video on your site, please do. Don't be afraid to use live video. I know even for me, when live video came out, I was just like, I don't know if I want to use live video because I don't know what's going to happen. Because we had so much stuff going on in some of the organizations, I just never knew what was going to happen. And it's kind of like you can't control it. But if you have that, if you're volunteering somewhere, if your organization, let's say your Meals on Wheels and you're taking food out, use that live video and show the people actually doing the action. And there's different ways you can do that, because you can do it in your stories. or you can do it on your timeline. We'll go in depth about that. But it is one of the most effective ways to engage your followers. Stories are a little bit more conversational, shorter, fast, and it's easy content. With stories, you have the ability to swipe down, swipe up. There are different things or elements you have to have in place in order to do that. One of them is the follower count. So we'll talk about that because it's a pretty high follower count for you to be able to do that. You can conduct polls. You can use regular text. Make sure you pay attention to the text because of the characteristics that are involved in that. For instance, Twitter has a specific limitation to it, but on Facebook, you can go a lot longer. So you want to make sure that if you have a Facebook post and you're going to repurpose it on Twitter, you're going to have to condense it tremendously, unless it's just a short post overall. So we'll go over all of that as well. Make it seem urgent or time sensitive. If you have something going on, like if you have a fundraiser, you can use terms like limited seating, today only, so that people feel like there's an urgency to it. And you want to try to include your call to action. So, we talked about tell them what you want them to do. Share, subscribe if you're using YouTube, register, donate, download. But in all of that, you want to make sure that you're still following that 80 to 20% mix. You can use real-time marketing. Because it expands the conversation, and that's pretty much content on the fly. Let's say you're at an event. Twitter is really good for this. You're at an event and you just want to put up regular post. Stories on Facebook is also really good for this. You just want to put up something quickly and you want to be involved in the conversation. So for instance, like let's say you get some tips today, you can jump on Twitter. I was sitting in the class and this is what I learned. You're in the conversation. It's real time. It's happening right now. People want to see what they're missing out on. So if you can do that and then provide video with that, then you'll be good to go. Hashtag helps out really with search and then also making you a part of a broader conversation. So when you're using hashtags, you want to be sure that you use no punctuation or spaces, and you want to search the hashtag before using it. Don't just put a hashtag in your content because you want to be very careful with what is associated with that hashtag and how it will relate to your organization. So if you want to, you can usually Google hashtags, drop them in Twitter. Twitter is also good for trend finding. And then see what is coming up with that hashtag. If you're using the hashtag on social media and somebody has already used it, put the hashtag in the search box, search it, see what comes up for that content because that's what you're going to be associated with. And try not to use more than 2 or 3 hashtags on your social media channels at a time. You don't want to come off spammy. I know that there are some channels, Instagram is one of them. You'll see like tons and tons of hashtags that people are trying to be a part of the conversation. That can actually hinder you, and I don't think people realize it. And we'll talk about how that can hinder you overall, because what will happen is it'll just take you out of engagement completely. So you want to make sure that on your pages, you're only using about 2 or 3 hashtags, and they're the most relevant hashtags to what it is you're posting. And then also tagging. Tagging is like, okay, I'm going to be at an event for the Charles County Chamber. So I'm going to tag the chamber in this event, whether I put their name in or I tag them to the photo. Now they know that I'm involved in their event. So they have the ability to like, comment, or share, which raises your engagement. But the better thing about that is if they share, now you're not only being seen by your followers, you're being seen by all of their followers. And then if their followers share, you're then being seen by all of their followers, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Hence, you keep going until you go viral. So that's what tagging is. So you want to make sure that whoever is involved in that post, you're just not typing out their names, but you're actually tagging them to the post. Okay. The next thing is to let your followers do the work for you. There are influencers out there. Think about who those influencers are amongst your particular group. If you have industry influencers, If you have someone who has a lot of people that are following them, or you can see that they're a large voice in the community, your brand ambassadors. Or sometimes you can put out a little extra money if there is an influencer that is really heavy in your industry, and you can have them do an influencer takeover, or you can just ask. They might donate it. You never know. And then the influencer takeover is like a channel takeover. So they take over your channel for one day. It's a little scary, I know, but you have to remember that if they are an influencer, they know the audience, they know who you're trying to reach, and they've done a good job of it already. So you can put that trust in them to know that they're going to do well by my channel. Then you can promote that, hey, I have an influencer that's taking over the channel. This is when it's going to happen. We can't wait to see. Stay tuned. Things like that to get people engaged and excited about what's coming. You also want to use your employees. If they're doing or your volunteers, if they're doing the service and they mention you, or they take a picture of their day or whatever the case is, share that content. It brings them in, it makes them feel more involved. And then also, you already now have content. You're showcasing your organization, and it's content that you didn't have to come up with personally. It was already there. So that's some things that you can do to make sure that your followers are working for you. Also, look at the user-generated content. So, if someone has an interaction with your organization, maybe they attended a virtual event. Maybe I say virtual now rather than physical because we're still in COVID. It could be hybrid, but maybe they received something, an award. Maybe they received something in a giveaway bag. Maybe they just, had an experience with your organization and they posted about that. Make sure you share that content. That kind of falls into really paying attention to what people are saying about your brand online and using social listening to promote engagement. Dive in to their comments by responding, even if it's just emojis. Emojis are searchable. So even if it's just emoji, like a happy face, put it in the comments. Be thoughtful and genuine, and then ask for reviews. If you see someone who had a great comment about being involved in your organization, whether it's a staff, volunteer, a donor, a sponsor, whatever they say, or a partner, which we'll talk about with LinkedIn, tell them to leave you a review. You can do this on Facebook. You can do this on LinkedIn. If you have a Google link, put your Google link out there, which is a whole nother class on Google's backend for business and how you can use it for marketing. But put your Google link in there so that you can get a Google review. And then people will start to see that traction. It's so funny because I had a conversation with someone in regards to Intrepid the other day. And the first thing they said, it was my first time meeting with the person. The first thing they said was, wow, you guys have really good Google reviews. So that's really good. And it made them interested in what I had to say simply because our Google reviews were good and they were paid attention to. If someone leaves a Google review or a review on your Facebook or a review on LinkedIn, make sure that you're replying to that review, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And we'll talk about that more as we start to take the deep dive into some different things. Ask people for their opinions on certain matters. There are businesses that are coming out with new products. And let's take Keurig. I think they were at one time, they were trying to decide what color Keurig they were coming out with next. And one of the options people put in was green. And so green, sorry about that, guys. My phone is going off. I thought I had it on silent, but you never know. I guess that's how virtual life works. The people were putting in green, and then they came out with a green Keurig maker. So it made the people feel involved. It could be about what is the next activity? What should be the next name for our event? Have people vote it up or down. You can brainstorm within, and let's say you can't make a decision, put that on social media and have these people start to get involved in making the decisions for your organization so that they then have an opportunity to build that connection. All right, let's go into the last one. Lastly, repurpose. I'm trying to save you all some time. If you have newsletter content, if you have blogs, if you have e-blast content that's out there, if you have success stories, case studies, information from your grant reports that you're able to share, the successes, testimonials, those reviews, frequently asked questions that you might have on your website, repost webinars, podcasts, interviews, repurpose that content for your channels. You can even repurpose your blogs as you're going back, the backlinking to previous blogs and bringing tractions. You can go in, make a little refresher if you need to, but if the content is still relevant, then helps with your search engine optimization and getting you up the list when people are searching for you. So you want to make sure that you repurpose your content. It doesn't always have to be new content. Some other ideas include building your network through sharing and retweeting relevant content of others. We talked a little bit about that. This will help spotlight your brand and save you time. Offering value through materials. So if you have something going on and you're giving there's a contest for a $5 Starbucks card, you will not believe how far a $5 or $10 Starbucks card will get you. Start to do your contest. It doesn't have to be anything big. Sometimes it's better to spend that $10 on that Starbucks card to increase your engagement than spend $10 on an ad and you're not generating anything but followers, which is a vanity matrix. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in depthly as well. Respond in real time. I know it's hard. We'll talk about when people are on the specific channels, but if you're able to respond in real time, now when people use direct message, instant message, or some type of bot on your website, they're looking for an immediate response. If you are not able to give an immediate response, make sure you have an away message up that has the times that you will be available, just to let them know, thank you for reaching out. We've received it. We'll be back to you as soon as possible. We're usually active around these hours. Let them know when you're going to be on. So they're just not waiting and waiting and waiting. And it seems like they're not getting any traction. And invite special guests in. If there's somebody, an influencer, as we discussed, in your industry, invite them in to do a live feed and have your watchers be able to ask questions, just kind of like we're doing now. You can do it through Zoom and then stream it out. Zoom does provide you that capability, or whatever video channels that you're utilizing. Then you can actually do it on the specific network as well. So remember, your content may be different on the separate channels, but your brand, look, feel, and tone should not be different. It should remain the same on every channel. And we'll talk a little bit about that and some different tactics that you can use in regards to that. All right, now this is the good part. This is where you want to pull out your pens and paper. So resources. Here are some resources that are going to make your life easier. If you are using Canva, and then if you use other resources in these areas, please drop them in the chat box because they might be working really well. And maybe it's just not a resource I came across. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. So let me know. Canva is my go-to when it comes to graphics and putting things together. Canva is awesome and user-friendly. Yes, I agree, Erica. It is so user-friendly. So Canva, it's quick, it's easy. It has templates. You put it in there, you can drag and drop, you can upload your photos in, you can share the content out from there. It even allows you to, let's say you design a brochure in Canva or a business card, to get that ordered. Everything about Canva I love, but that's because I come from the world of Adobe products, and I was an avid user of Photoshop, Illustrator, things of that nature, which I still use today, but more so in-depthly. It's when I have to really go in deep, take out backgrounds, do green screens, things of that nature. If you're doing something simple for social media, you usually are. Canva is a great tool to use. PicMonkey is another. It's very similar to Canva. There's also Snappa, which allows you to do pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I love Adobe too. That's so funny. You can do so much with it, but it takes a lot more skill level to utilize than Canva, right? So, or PicMonkey. So PictoChart is for your infographics. So Canva and PicMonkey and things like that, they do have infographic templates, but PictoChart really focuses specifically on infographics. I want to say, if you guys are writing this down, you can write them down. Also, quick tip on virtual meetings. I usually screenshot. I have a Word document or some type of Google Doc open, screenshot, pop it in. So that might be a little easier. And to do, if you do that, you might want to wait until I go through this entire slide, and I'll let you know when I get done. But screenshotting is great. Be Funky is a mix of graphics and oh yeah, the snipping tool. So I use the snipping tool to put together this presentation. I love the snipping tool. You can download a snipping tool if you don't have it already, and it just allows you to take quick pictures of your screen. Thank you, Patty, so much for putting that out there. I totally forgot about the snipping tool. It is a lifesaver. So Be Funky is a mix of graphics and then photo editing as well. So that's for your like content creation, your photos, things like that. For video, Loom allows you to do, well, Loom, Vidyard, and Placeit. Well, Placeit's a little bit different. Loom and Vidyard, they allow you to do screen recording. So when you see people doing trainings and their pictures like over in the bottom, or they just have a screen and you can see their mouse going around and clicking around and doing things. Let's say there's something that you're debuting. This is really good for like product launches or trainings. If you're having a training and you need to show people how to use Facebook. And I can go in, I can actually screen record and then save that and use it as a video. So Loom and Vidyard will allow you to do that. Placeit is more so for mock-ups. So if you're doing like logos, they have logos and videos, but let's say you need to come up with a t-shirt design, a hat design for your marketing efforts, different things like that. You can use Placeit to put it on there. And then there's another one called Soapbox, which is all together, it's just soap and box. And that's a recorder through Wista. Which is Wistia. Let me put that in the chat. Poster My Wall. Okay, I haven't heard of that one. I might have to look into that one. And that pretty much is the same thing as the Loom and the Vidyard for like video creation, screen recording, things of that nature. And then the greatest thing about free tools is we're always looking for photos. So one of the things we talked about is it Lumen 5 online video maker? Okay, thank you, Jasmine. So great, keep putting them in the chat because these are things that are working for people and we can utilize them as well. I'm gonna have to write some of these down too because I'm curious about this. Lumen 5. All right, and Poster My Wall. I'm gonna look into those. Thank you guys. Then we have those free video content. I'm sorry, not video, photo content. So if you're looking for free photos that you can use Upsplash, Pixabay is my go-to. The majority of the photos that I got for this particular presentations or presentations that I've done in the past have been from Pixabay. They provide free photos. Upsplash provides free photos that you can utilize as well. Pixels, they provide free photos, but sometimes you have to make sure that the attribution is in there, which you'll see on my slide. You can kind of tell what came from where because I have the attribution in there, or you can link it back to where you got it from, but you can still use the photos. And then Nappy, if you're looking for diverse photos, Nappy is a site that you can go and get those really diverse photos. So this is the time now that you want to screenshot because I'm getting ready to go to the next slide. So I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1. I see Kara uses Upsplash and that's her favorite. Okay, hopefully you got it. We're going to the next one. Tracking. So we have bit.ly.com. It allows you to track your links. Some of you said that you were interested in tracking your metrics. We'll go in depth about that, but tracking your links. And it also shortens your links. So if you have like a really, really long link and you need to put it in Twitter, and you're condensed to this little tiny space. And a lot of times when you're doing Instagram and stuff like that, people don't want to see these long links. Put it in Bitly. It'll give you a little tiny link. People can click on it. Now you have a little link that's taking up less characters and it's trackable. It'll give you the metrics for it so you can see who's going on to your landing pages, to your events page, things like that. Hashtags we talked about. You can use it as a tracker. If you make up a hashtag for your event, people can click on that hashtag. You can promote it. You're going to be on this event. Make sure you hashtag because I care, right? Because we're Because Market. So because I care. And it's spelled out like because. then people know to use that. So at the end of the event, as everyone's doing that real-time marketing that we discussed, I can go click on that hashtag and see all of the posts that come up in regards to that particular event. So you want to make sure that you're hashtagging. Finding trending topics. Answer the Public. So Answer the Public is a paid resource, but they allow you to do so much for free. And a lot of times all you need is that little free bit. So I use the free version. But Answer the Public, you can go in. There's a search engine that comes up. There's a back screen, but it's kind of like a search engine, just like Google. It has a little bar in the middle. You put in your topic that you're interested in, and you will get all of the questions people are currently searching today. What is trending in regards to that topic? You can then take that and make your social media content. So why do people want to know about social media? What do people want to know about social media? Social media and Facebook, different things like that. You can then take that information and focus your content on that trending information, because then what happens, it starts to build the SEO around that. And you know that people are interested in this. So now you're providing value to that customer. Google Alerts is another good thing. If there's any articles coming out on industry news, trending topics, things like that, you can set up your Google Alerts. You do have to have a Google account, and it will ping you or send the articles to your inbox that match your alert. Others, really quickly, and I'm going to go past the slide, so you want to make sure you screenshot now, is Social Mention, which is a listening tool that allows you to check for your social reputation and help you manage your social reputation, because now you have your organization's reputation right out in the community doing your services. But you also need to consider, because you're on social media, your social representation. HubSpot, I love. Like I said, I got the HubSpot social media certification. It is a paid source. There's also a free CSM. That free CRM, your customer relationship management portal. With that, you can keep your contacts. It really is a hub for everything. You can send e-blasts out of there. You get so many e-blasts a month. If you're only doing two or three e-blasts, it might be worth looking into. You get 5 free landing pages. You can track who's signing up for your blogs and different things like that. It gives you just the basics for the free version, but it'll get you started if you're not already tracking. And then we'll talk about actually considering putting some money into it, because if it's working and it's paying for itself, right, it makes your job so much easier. So HubSpot is a really good one. I'm a huge advocate for HubSpot. Zoho is another platform, similar in the fact that you can keep your information in it. It does different things for you. And they also have a free version. Linktree, Instagram users. You know how you have your bio and you can only put one. Oh, Hootsuite is very helpful as well. Thank you, Catherine. I'm just seeing come up there. Yeah. And I'll talk about Hootsuite in just a second. Linktree, you can just put one link in your bio. Linktree will allow you to click on the one link and then 4 more links come up. So you can actually expand your bios by using Linktree, putting in this one link. And then when they click on the link, it gives them different links that they can go to. And it could be like your website homepage. Maybe you have an event. It could be your event landing page. I would say don't do more than 3 or 4 links, because you don't want to come off spammy, like here's everything we have. So pick what's most pertinent and then use Linktree. So if you need a condensed, this is also good if you have condensed characteristics. You can put in the link and then it'll expand your links out so people can see. Hootsuite, we talked about scheduling assistance. If you have more than one channel, excuse me, for those of you who have 3 or 4 channels, like we did the poll earlier, Hootsuite, you can bring them all in under Hootsuite and you can schedule everything out from Hootsuite. It also gives you analytics associated with those channels, rather than scheduling out on Facebook and Instagram and then going to Twitter and scheduling out there, or going to LinkedIn, things like that. Some of the platforms don't even really have schedulers. So Hootsuite can save and help you with that. And then what happens is rather than doing real-time content all the time, you can schedule out in your day, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours, and we'll talk about this. I'm going to spend 2 hours on this particular, on social media, map out my content. You can go in within those 2 hours schedule that content out, and then it's automation. It automatically goes out when you want to have your schedule be released. So for instance, like scheduling emails, if I know that a holiday is coming up and I know I'm going to be off during that holiday, but I need to get a Facebook post out there that says, hey, everybody, happy St. Patrick's Day. And I have this picture of everybody wearing green, then I can go into it, schedule it out, and then I can just go about my workday and the post is already released. I don't have to worry about it. It's there, and people can engage with it. And then Buffer is another scheduling and social media management tool as well. So hopefully you guys had an opportunity to screenshot this. 3, 2, 1. We're going to the next slide. Okay. Sprout social reports. Oh, regardless of what you post, you have to have interest in your organization and your channels to obtain your goals. So this means keeping your followers happy, or you won't have anyone engaging with your brand. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to the type of content that you're putting out. Sprout Social says and reports that these are the main reasons why people are not engaged and unfollow pages. Poor quality or product support or poor customer service remains at the top. Remember, we were talking about people will go in your inbox and try to get you to answer a question. Maybe they have a question about your service and everything. If you don't have your automatic responses available and you're not available to answer those questions, then they may feel as you are providing poor customer support. If I am putting things in your comment section and you are not responding to me with an emoji or a response, poor customer support. What happens there? Bad reviews. So this is a trickling effect. A lot of times people will come to social media to vent, and you can stop it right there and turn a bad experience into a good experience. So you don't want them to go the extra mile and then post a review that you can't do anything with, but then try to fix it at that point. And by that point, they're even more disgruntled. So you want to make sure that you have good quality on your pages and that you're providing good customer support. When utilizing emails, people nowadays, I know it seems crazy because we weren't living in this, but especially with COVID and virtual, when people send emails, they expect a response within a few hours, and definitely a 24-hour period. So with social media, they're expecting a response almost immediately. So keep that in consideration. In your about sections on your pages, if you have the characters to do it, you can put an SLA in or a service level agreement that sets the expectations and will help you explain to your customers when you're available or when you're able to respond, especially if you are that office of 1 or 2 people or that volunteer. Or you don't have an office and it's just you doing everything, right? You might be a program director, executive director, like we talked about. Put that expectation in your about session. These are usually the times that we're on. And we'll talk about when social media gets the most traction, so you can kind of gauge what times you need to be on social media. But make sure you're using those automated messages. Email, 3 days. Yeah, exactly. 3 days to answer an email. That's nowadays people will think you're never getting back to them. And see, you felt like it was too long. So, at least guys, 24 hours trying to get back to them. Posting relevant content, irrelevant content or too many ads. Remember, you don't want to come off spammy. I know 3 days is like an eternity, especially if it's urgent, right? Now some of the CRMs and stuff will have trackers in them. So you're being tracked. Like I know with the programs that I use, I can actually track to see if you open my email, and then not only if you opened it, but when you respond to it. And I can see how many times that you opened your right email. So think about those salespeople that are trying to get to you. They're tracking you. All right, guys, let me stay focused. All right, so posting irrelevant content or too many ads, we said that 80 to 20 rule. Make sure that it doesn't come across spammy. Privacy concerns. If you have to follow things like HIPAA regulation, or different compliances with your services, please keep that in mind. It is the same thing on social media, and you don't want your customers to see that. Don't put out private information about your employees or volunteers or anything like that. Your sponsors, get their permission before you put their name out. They may want to remain anonymous. When you start doing this, privacy concerns start coming up. And so you have to be very careful, because then people don't want to be involved with your organization. Negative press or scandals, pretty much self-explanatory. Posting too much. There are different levels as to what you should be posting on certain channels. Twitter, you can post 20 times a day and be perfectly fine. Do not post 20 times a day on Facebook. You will drive people crazy. They will unfollow you. Just don't do it. So we'll get into that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So we want to make sure that we keep these elements in mind. And now you pretty much have all of the information you need to start your strategy. So here is where we start to take the deep dive to boosting your engagement and ensuring that you're not unfollowed like some other people are when these things happen. So the 4 points, I'm just getting started, right? We've already like an hour in and I'm just getting started, but we're getting ready to take a break. But the 4 points that we want to go over are, let's see if my PowerPoint is gonna come up. What we got going on here? Here we go. General overview of social media. So we're going to take a general look. Like I said, we're not going to be logging into anything. I have tons of screenshots to determine where your organization needs to focus its efforts. And we're going to break down the top channels. You guys talked about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're also going to go over TikTok, Snapchat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, TikTok, Snapchat. So 7 channels overall. So if you have a younger following, if you're trying to get younger volunteers involved, if you have a mentorship group, we're going to let you know how to get involved on those channels as well. So I'm going to try to stay kind of high level, because really each channel could be a completely separate class. So YouTube is going to be your best friend. If we start to get too deep into one, or there's a lot of questions that come up in regards to one, I may refer you just to search it on YouTube, just because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And then again, we can have a strategic call, 30 minutes, 15 minutes outside of this, and we can talk about your own personal platforms if needed. So we'll do that. We'll give an overall view of everything that's going on. We'll discuss how you can use social media as a marketing tool and examine some of the advertising capabilities on each channel, as well as what can help you increase engagement. That was in our poll. I saw the uptick in that. Reach the right audience and then craft compelling messages. We're going to also discuss which metrics matter to your organization, because each organization is different. So the metrics that matter to one particular organization may not be the same metrics that matter to another organization. You just might have different goals. And so with the different goals comes different metrics associated with those goals. And we'll talk about the approaches you should take to each one. So there'll be some basic concepts in regards to metrics as well. That was also on the uptick poll. We'll discuss not only metrics to consider, but how to monitor them and make them work for you. And then lastly, how to incorporate metrics to achieve the goals you are trying to attain, driving growth and crushing those quotas that usually come down by your supervisor, your boards, your, the other people that you have to answer to, or you might have some things that you set in place for yourself, but in any case, it will help you make those data-driven decisions. This is the part that you want to get your screenshots, your snippet tools, your notes. You want to get ready because we're about to take that deep dive into each one of those 7 channels. So let's get started, because I don't want to waste too much more time. Let me just make sure that I can see what I need to see. Perfect. All right, so let's get into it. Starting with, we're going to break it down. So this is your landscape, right? You have all kinds of different components, all kinds of different things. There are things coming up now, like the newest craze, honestly, which I haven't had an opportunity to look in. And this is why you have to stay up on this stuff, is Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to hear about Clubhouse. I have now heard it numerous times from different environments, different people, but it allows you to have conversations without your camera on. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it yet, but I keep hearing the name coming up. And Social Media Examiner actually did an article on it. So I was like, this might be something that I need to keep an eye on. Not necessarily sure. So you know how things come up and you're just like, I don't know if this is going to take off or not. This might be one of those things. But I know people that used it. And now in many of my marketing meetings, people are starting to bring it up. So not really sure what Clubhouse is, but looking to a little excited to see what that's about, right? Just something else to throw into the pool. But we're going to focus on the 7 channels. So this is kind of going to be the breakdown. Like I said, if we get too in depth, I might just say, you know, you can search it out on YouTube, right? Because that's the second largest search engine now. You know, I can get back to you with an answer later on because we're going to go in depth, but we got to be respectful of the time as well. So let's take that deep dive, starting with Facebook. All right, the social media king, right? Facebook, even in our poll that we saw earlier, pretty much everybody is on it. It is really the top choice when it comes to social media users. People use Facebook as a personal outlet. They share their photos of their kids, their marriages, their families, what their latest accomplishments have been, and general life items. Usually that is what you see on Facebook. So it's more of a fun, let me tell you about my lifestyle type of channel, what I agree with, what I don't agree with, filled with opinions, okay? Now, according to Hootsuite, right? And some of you say you loved Hootsuite, and that's the platform that you can schedule everything out on. The typical Facebook user will like 12 posts, 5 comments, and share 1 Facebook post, and then also look at 12 ads in 1 month. So 1 month, they're looking at 12 posts, 5 will make 5 comments, will share 1 Facebook post, and look at 12 ads. You want to make sure that they're commenting and sharing your stuff. So let's get into that a little bit more. The basics about Facebook. Has about 2.7 billion users. Active daily users are about 1.8 billion. The largest age group on Facebook is 25 to 34-year-olds. And the largest or biggest demographic are male users. That blows my mind because when Facebook first started, look at the transition it's made. And this is why I say you have to keep up on things. It was first for college students. And then after that, it started to grow tremendously, but it was growing amongst women who were 40 years and older. So that was the platform to go to if you were catering to that particular group. Now that group is Pinterest, and Facebook is amongst the 25 to 34-year-olds, and specifically male. So it's almost half, with 56% of men on there and then 44% of females. So it's just so interesting to look at the transition that it has made over time. The average time spent on Facebook is about 38 minutes, and almost 80% of users use Facebook on their mobile devices. So what does that mean? This is very important because what this is telling you is that when you do your call to action, if you are setting up a landing page on your desktop, it has to be mobile optimized. Most of the people utilizing Facebook that you're advertising that event or that sponsorship or whatever the case is, if they click on a link, most likely they're going to be on their phone or their tablet or some type of mobile device. So whatever is linked to that needs to be mobile optimized so it can be a smooth transition when you're getting them over. If it's not, and they get on, they're on the phone, right? They get on, and then when they get on, they can't read anything, or things are all out of whack because the website is not set up appropriately and things like that. Your bounce rate, which is how many people jump off of your site from a particular page, is going to continue to just go up, and it's not going to benefit you at all. So you want to make sure that whatever is coming from Facebook, if you're linking out, that is mobile optimized, okay? Other things you want to consider are that Facebook is mostly used in rural areas, and it's the most popular social network amongst low-income family households. So if your service is catering to low income and you have services to help out with some of the needs that they may have, Facebook may be your go-to in that sense. Now, is it the place to get sponsorships? Probably not, but you'll get the engagement that you're looking for, okay? Best time to post on Facebook is at noon. For some reason, when people go to lunch, they're on there scrolling. People a lot of times do get on social media in the morning as well, but they tend to jump from channel to channel. And you don't really have the attention. Usually when somebody gets on Facebook at noon, they're on Facebook and they're just kind of scrolling through leisurely, trying to see what happens. If you're going to post to Facebook, you want to put in your content strategy that you're going to post at least 3 times a week. So you have from the previous notes, all of the ways you can post in the content and different things like that. But to keep it engaging and to stay relevant, try at least 3 times a week. You can make that Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Like college courses, right? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday is the college class. And have that go out. Or you can do, Monday, Tuesday, then come back on Thursday. However you want to do it, whatever works best for you. But try to stay up to like 3 times a week with your posts. This is Because's Facebook page. Go like it now. We are at Because Marketing, shameless plug. But I'm utilizing it so I can show you some different traction that you can get. So when you log on, right, this is your Facebook page. You have all the stuff. You're able to edit your posts. Please make sure all of this is filled out. If for those of you setting up your channels, or if you have not done this already, make sure your bio, make sure you have a complete profile. Have your pictures together, your bios, everything. That's a complete different class on how to set up your Facebook channel, but you want to make sure a lot of that is complete. So there are organic posts, and then you have your paid advertising. So your organic posts are the posts that you just put out. There's no money involved in it. It's just kind of, your regular posts that you're putting out. Organic posts and the ads will show up on your timeline. They can include text, videos, photos, GIFs, pretty much all the elements we discussed before. And you can utilize that to create your ads. There are numerous ways to create your ads and really focus on that paid advertisement, and then also look into your insights. So if you can follow my mouse, here are insights. When you go to this is literally how the page is set up. So when you go into your main page and you have all of that stuff on the side, you should see your insights. If you click on your insights, we'll see this. I'm going to show it later, but it'll start to show you your tracking, who's engaging, different things like that. Okay. Now, as far as ads are concerned, there are a ton of different ways that you can set up your ads. You can go to the business suite, which is what we're going to talk about. You can create an ad directly from the page. You can promote. You can come here to this 3 dot. You pop it up. It says promote. They want your money. So they're going to give you every single way that they can think possible to let you know that, hey, you can promote your post, boost your post, do a ad or whatever the case is. So these are all the ways. You can also go to facebook.com/business or facebook.com/ad manager. And it will pretty much take you into the business suite and then help you set up your ad. So we're going to go over the business suite, but when you click on these buttons, it kind of takes you to a business suite or another, and then you end up in the same place at the end. So that's what we're going to focus on. All right. So when you go into the business suite, this is kind of what it looks like. You can click on your ad, create an ad. You'll have the ad center. I'm pointing to it like I'm actually physically in the class. Sorry, guys. I got to use the mouse. You'll have your ad center here. And then once you click an ad, you have this box that comes up. So Facebook's advantage is its ability to target those that you're trying to gain attention from under 3 different categories or target audiences. They're your core audiences, which are specific criteria, such as your age, things you might be interested in, your location. You have custom audiences that let you reach out to people who have engaged with you in the past. So let's say that one of your goals is to increase engagement, and you find that you have a lot of followers, but they haven't engaged with you in a long time. You may want to do a custom audience that you can get those people re-engaged. And then you have lookalike audiences, which are people who look like your followers. So it's on the notion of birds of a feather flock together, right? So you have your audience, and now I want to target those people that look like the people in my audience, because those are the people that I want on my page. So that's pretty much what you can go into. And it really does allow you or walk you through at this point what you need to do. Boosting a post, I would say don't just boost any post. Use boost a post when your post is already on the page. This is an already developed post and it's already getting good traction. So you know that people are already interested in this post. The suggestion here is to, it has good engagement. You're getting good comments on it. People are liking it. Then you want to boost it because you know you have that engagement. But now I want to increase my engagement. I want more people to pay attention to this. So I'm going to boost it. I know it's working. I'm going to boost it up so that it can go up. Use boost a post like that. Look at your organic posts that are already out there. See what's doing well and then boost those posts. And that'll help you with your reach. Also, you want to make sure that your when you do ads, you want to kind of have a campaign associated with it. So you have to gain the trust of the follower. So when you're putting them out there, you want people to see your name. You don't want them just to see your name and then say, oh, register for this event, or, oh, sponsor this event, or whatever the case. You don't want to start with the ask. Start with boosting some organic posts, or at least doing an ad about the organization and its services so that you can then track your website over. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's one of my cell phones I can't turn off. It has to stay on, but we're good. But push over to your website to gain that lead generation over to your website. But you want to make sure that you're engaging them first, and then you come with the ask. Remember, 80-20. You want to stick with that. So that's when you actually go about boosting a post. You can promote posts. You can get more messages. You can do lead generation with calls to action. The great thing about Facebook is everything is already formatted for you. So if you click on it, it's literally formatted for you. And then you just go through the steps. So here is where you can see, like, you can get more website visitors, people to contact, things of that nature. Now, when you're in your Facebook business suite, you can also look at your ads and look at your insights. So this is the menu, again pointing. This is the menu to the Facebook suite. Just like when you have your regular profile, you have your menu on the left-hand side. This is the menu that will come up on the left-hand side. It will show your ads and your insights. And then you can click into them and you can see how your ad is doing. So let's say we want to promote our page, right? Let's walk through the steps. You choose your video, your audience, your duration, your budget. Pretty much everything, like I said, it will walk you through all of that. You can go down to your audience and say, yeah, I want to do 18 through 65, or because I know that I want to engage a particular audience. Oh, fun fact, Facebook is also really big amongst 45-year-olds and older. I don't know if that was on that slide that we're on. And also it's the largest growing for seniors. So if you are an organization that focuses directly on senior services, then Facebook is probably most likely where you need to be. And then you can come here and say, okay, well, I want to do 65 and up because we're putting out information in regards to retirement. And that's the ad that I want to get out there. A lot of times it will create like this was a post that was on our page, and it will give you an option to grab that image off of your page. So you don't even have to create anything new. If you do need to create something new, you can always go to Canva or one of the other resources we discussed and do it that way and utilize it. So we talked about, creating your picture, your duration and your budget, and then your audience, picking that out. Once you have all of that filled out, and it'll take you through this, like I said, it literally walks you through step by step. You can go to your insights. You promote your post, click the button at the bottom, and then your post is off. Now we want to see, well, how is that post doing? Or, maybe I just want to look at general insight into my page overall and see how Facebook is doing. When I get into the insight page, I can look at trends, I can look at my content, and I can look at my audiences. So for this particular page, I can see, and the great thing about Facebook owning Instagram, right, is that you can see your metrics for Instagram and your Facebook back end as well. So I can see here that this particular page is, they had 2,000 followers. And then this is one of the organizations that we work with. This isn't because I wish we did have 2,000 followers. I'm working on that. I'm gonna use some of these tips, right? But they have 2,000 followers and then 84 Instagram followers. So obviously they're definitely getting more traction on Facebook. But as you click through, it'll allow you to kind of click the different places. Sorry guys, let me go back. It'll allow you to click the different places, and you can see that for this particular organization, the statistics were right, because that seems to be where a lot of the traction is falling. We're not really reaching seniors, and it's not really the place for us to reach anybody that is 25 and below. This is for this particular organization. It changes from organization to organization, but this kind of shows how that statistics and the insights kind of work together so that you can target your audience. Make sure you look into your own statistics. Disclaimer, may not be the case for every organization, but make sure that you follow your own insights to see who it is that you're actually reaching, their gender, and then even what location. So if you're a local organization, then these locations might be great for you. Let's say that you're in the Southern Maryland area, Mechanicsville, Waldorf, La Plata. That's exactly where I want to be. For this particular organization, their reach is a little further, so they're also getting Baltimore. If you're an international organization or a national organization, you can see how far your reach is and what your hotspots are. So you want to pay attention to that information as well. All right. Are there any questions about Facebook before we go into Instagram? And I'm going to come back to Facebook. Okay, Patty, I see. I'm going to come back to Facebook because there's a whole, I want to get into Instagram because Facebook owns Instagram and they both use the business suite. So I'm going to do Instagram, but I'm going to come back to Facebook. But you can go ahead and ask your question. It may be answered, it may not. So Patty, do you want to go ahead and either put it in the chat or unmute yourself?
So I use Facebook and share to Facebook groups. I take my posts and I share to Facebook groups. Is there a tool to do that? Because it, takes a couple of minutes to do the 25 groups I tend to share with.
Yeah. I have not honestly seen anything that will allow you to share to groups. I don't know if anybody has any thing that they can put in the chat. I personally have not seen anything or read anything or come across anything about sharing to groups. So I can take that note and actually look into it. But that's a great question, because even from a PR standpoint, right, you have all, like, let's say you are a local company, you have, Charles County Manners and Calvert County this, and, St. Mary's County this, and all this other stuff. So you're trying to share to these groups. Unfortunately, I just have not seen it. I don't know if the easier way is to, which then you would be dependent on those groups, is maybe find a contact that you can send the information to from the groups and then have that contact share it out. But then you also want to have the engagement from that particular post. So you just might be stuck sharing for now. But we'll talk about the Creative Studio. I'll go through the Creative Studio and we'll see if something is in there as well. But I just haven't personally seen anything. So I apologize about that.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Sorry, yeah. It seems all your time is going to go into groups. Sorry about that. All right. Are there any more questions about Facebook before we move forward? Okay, so let's dive into Instagram. And we're going to move into Instagram because, like I said, it is owned by Facebook. And this is the place to go for fun, vivid images and videos. It is an entirely visual platform. It has a mix of people on it. You can see public figures, you can see celebrities, you can see athletes, you can see your everyday person. The good thing about this is that if you have a Facebook account, then you can get an Instagram business account. And that's when you can kind of see your end traction and insights. A lot of people use personal Instagram accounts. If you're doing it for your organization, please make sure that it is a business account. You can convert your personal account over to a business account. They do allow you to do that. So you want to make sure that it is a business account. All right, let's go into Instagram and see what we have here. All right, Instagram, number of users, you have about 1 billion monthly users. The age group is kind of similar to Facebook, about 25 to 34 years of age, but a slightly higher female gender on that particular channel. Average time spent on Instagram is 29 minutes. 24% of users log in more than once a day. So when coming to posting, we'll talk about how many times you can post, but you got to keep in mind that they're on there multiple times a day. You have over 5 million accounts using Instagram stories. So don't be afraid to use the stories, which is just at the top. You can click and then do your stories just like Facebook stories. 37% of American Instagram users have some college education, while 43% have obtained a degree. So let's say you're a college, you may want to be on Instagram because you have some college education on there. You might want to take those 2-year college educated people, or people who are taking classes, shift them over to a 4-year. Instagram might be a good place for you to try to get in on that. Only 1% of Instagram users use no other social platform. Why is this important? Because if you are a small department, or you have a volunteer, or you're no department and you're doing it on your own, as well as running the entire organization, it may not be imperative that you're on Instagram, because most likely you'll find these same users on other channels. So rather than coming across over and over again with the same content, if you're posting the same content and things like that, you can save yourself by just finding another channel that works best for you, and not have to worry about taking pictures and having the content on Instagram. Now, with that being said, and if you do have the capacity to utilize Instagram, Instagram does get better engagement than Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. So if your key goal is engagement, you should be on Instagram. So you want to keep those things in mind. Additionally, 58% of people say that they become more interested in a brand or a product after seeing it in their Instagram stories. And 50% of people have visited a website to make a purchase, or have taken some type of activity after seeing it in stories as well. So you can go on the timeline, but you want to make sure those short little clips we were talking about earlier with that limited time frame, even if you get on and you're saying, this is what somebody in your service is doing today. Even if you have, a partner organization, because sometimes due to regulations, you may not be able, and compliancy issues, you may not be able to showcase the people who are utilizing your services, but you might be able to get a staff on there. You might be able to showcase the back end of you putting together an event, behind the scenes. Everybody loves behind the scenes, right? Because people want to know, what does it take? What are you doing? So just jump on there, literally a couple of seconds. It doesn't need to be formatted like a YouTube video or anything like that. Just really quick, put it in the stories and get that traction. While Instagram was once looked at for a younger generation of teens, this isn't the case anymore. According to Sprout Social, TikTok recently surpassed Instagram as the preferred US teens channel. So this goes back to that shift, right? That's happening in social media. But the interesting thing is that even though the younger generation is falling off of Instagram and they prefer to use TikTok, Snapchat reigns king when it comes to the younger generations. So if that is your target market, I think we saw somebody from the library, and if you're having a youth day, or let's say that you're doing a volunteer showcase and you're looking for students of a particular age, Snapchat should be the channel that you're on to get that across. And then TikTok should be the second, because you're not going to find that generation on these other channels. You're just not going to. And so that comes into knowing where to go and saving yourself time, and not being disappointed in, oh my goodness, I put it on Facebook, I'm not getting the traction that I'm looking for. Why? And then you have that lack of resources, because now you have wasted time and wasted money. So things to consider. Best times to post: Tuesdays for nonprofit at 10 a.m. or 4 p.m. This particular link, you can screenshot, write it down, whatever you want to do, will tell you if you're in a particular industry, if you're in retail, construction, whatever the case is, if you're in a creative industry such as art and design, it will tell you what the best times are to post for that particular industry. But for nonprofits in general, statistics say that Tuesday at 10 a.m. around that time in the morning. I tend to go a little earlier just because I want to catch some of the early birds. And then 4 p.m. So what happens is, or you can do after. So you can kind of do it at 10. You're getting ready to catch that lunch crowd, right, on Facebook. If you do it there, right? But for Instagram, you want to make sure that you're involved around that time frame. And you can schedule this out. So think about your schedules, right? So if you have something going out at noon on Facebook, you might want to schedule it for 10 on Instagram. So that's kind of how that works. 4 p.m., people are getting out of school, they're getting off of work, different things like that. So it's natural that they would then look at their feeds during that time. Okay, so let's talk about Instagram business. And I'm going to go to this link and we're going to talk about the different ads. So business.instagram.com is where you can find out about, and I'll go back to the slide so you'll see it. But that's where you can find about Instagram ads. Instagram ads, there's plenty of different ones you can do. You can do story ads. Story ads are the ones that when you're scrolling through the stories section, that ad that comes up as you're scrolling. So basically, you're looking at people's stories and then you can see this little sponsored here in the corner, that's an advertisement that someone paid to do. So it's just interesting when you get on your Instagram, start scrolling through the stories and see if you have any sponsored ads come up. Photo ads, just like, are just basic photo ads. You can use photo ads when you just want to be clean and concise. These ads usually end up in the timelines and they can do like, shop now. They can have a call to action associated with it. You see the sponsor link. So, different things like that. But these are more if you want like the clean look to your stories. You still have the ability to do video ads with your call to action. Again, you see the sponsored at the top. You know that it is a video ad. Video ads will take videos up to about 120 seconds long. So you want to keep that in mind when you're creating your videos. Carousel ads, those are the ads that show up in your timeline and you just keep swiping right or left. Left, you swipe left? Yeah, swipe left. And then if you want to go back, you swipe right, right? So these show up in your time feed and then you can have numerous pictures. Let's say you're showcasing something in particular. You can, or if you're at an event and you have pictures from last year's event, you can use carousel ads to kind of show the pictures from last year's event to make people enticed at, hey, maybe I should register for this event as well. Collection ads are when you have a particular collection of something that you're trying to showcase. It could be a collection of services when we're thinking nonprofit. If you have a consignment shop or a thrift store, it could be a collection of things you got in a particular day or a collection of items that you're selling, right? If you're trying to promote to buy, let's say that you have marketing attire, like maybe you have t-shirts or you have ball caps, different things like that, then you can do your collection ads. This particular collection ad was sponsored by Ashley Home Store. Whoops. And so it will show that you can scroll up and you start to see that collection. There's prices and there's outgoing links. So that's kind of how collection ads work. And then ads in Explorer. So Instagram has an Explorer. When you click on the magnifying glass, it allows you to explore different topics and different posts. And you can actually have your ad right in the Explorer section. So when you log on, you can get to Explore through here. This is just, sometimes people just want to explore without they're tired of seeing what's on their timeline, or maybe they want to explore something within a particular topic. And so your ad kind of falls within that group of exploration, I guess you would say. All right, so let's see. Let's go back. So this is the page that you can use that. It's business.instagram.com. Now, I know you guys aren't going to be able to see my phone, but I'm going to try to show you all something. And if you have your phones, you can jump on Instagram if you have an Instagram account. And then I'll show you how to do it on desktop. Okay, let me jump into my Instagram account really quickly. And I had because, and I know you guys aren't going to see it. So I don't know if you guys can see it. This is my Instagram. I know it's kind of blurry, or this is because it's Instagram. And this is our Instagram feed. The profile picture is in the corner. If you click that profile picture, it'll take you to your page, and then you can look and you can find insights right underneath edit profile. That insights you can click on, and it'll give you insights to your actual page. And you can go in and you can click see all, which you'll see there. Now you can only see insights on your Instagram page if you have over 100 users. But what you can do is change the time frame. Oh, sorry, at the top, that's what I was looking for. At the top, you can change the time frames to 30 days or 7 days. And you can see basic insights. It'll kind of tell you basic insights. Like here, you can see the posts, the engagement, and different things that you're getting from Instagram. But if you want really in-depth insights from your phone, then you are going to need to do to get over 100 followers. You can also go to the 3 lines at the top of the page. Oh, this is our Instagram page at Because Marketing. Go like it. Shameless plug. And then you'll see insights there. And you can click insights and get to your insights from there as well. So I just wanted to show you how to get to it from your phone, but we're going to talk about how to get to it from the desktop as well, because I know a lot of people nowadays, sometimes you might be at your desktop, you might want to post to Instagram from your desktop. You do not need a third party to do that. I know, mind blown, right? Who knew? Because when you get on Instagram's page, it does not let you post to Instagram from your desktop. But I'm going to show you how you can do that. So in regards to ads, business.instagram.com. What we're going to do now, oh, really quickly, let me talk about shadow banning. So shadow banning is when people talk about, in particular, using all of those hashtags. We talked about that. What happens when you use all of those hashtags back to back to back to back to back to back to back because you want to be in all of the conversations is the channel then looks at you like you could possibly be a bot or a spammer. And so what they do is they block you, but they block you in a way that you wouldn't even notice that they're blocking you. And so you can only be seen by your followers and your engagement starts to decrease. So if you have like 1,000 followers and you're only seeing engagement by 10 and you've done that in the past, you've used all of these hashtags, most likely you're being classified as a bot. So you're going to have to use some engagement tactics to get those people back engaged with that particular channel. That is called shadow banning. So they're blocking you, and you as the consumer or the user of that channel have no idea that you're being blocked. But if you start to see engagement going down, that's possibly what could be happening. And so you might want to focus on engagement and only use about 2 or 3 hashtags when you're putting it out there, because it's very hard to come out of shadow banning. You really have to run an active campaign to get out of it. Let's talk about the Creative Studio. Oh, create an ad. We talked about that. I'm sorry?
Shiva, this is Kara. Before you move on, there is a question related. Could museums use those collection ads to showcase their actual collection pieces to entice visitors?
I think that's a phenomenal idea. You could definitely do that and showcase, especially for museum. You know, in museums, they have showcases that come and go. So if you're promoting a particular showcase, you could showcase specific pieces. Don't showcase it all, right? Because you still want that, you know, that interest coming in. So showcase specific pieces and then put in there that content we were talking about, only here for a limited time, to get people to engage, to be like, oh my goodness, I gotta go see this. I really want to utilize this. I think that's a phenomenal idea. I would definitely say do that. That's a great idea of a way. I might actually use that as an example in the future to use the collection ads. Wonderful idea. All right, so we're going to go to Facebook Creator Studio, and it's business.facebook.com/Creator Studio. It's just going to take me to home. And I'll go back to the slide so you guys can see that. So in Creator Studio, a couple of things that I wanted to point out here. People are wondering, how do you post to your stories from the desktop? So right now, it seems that you can only post to Facebook stories from your cell phone. And so you can come to Create Post, and then you can add a story here. Now I have several pages, as you can see. So I can go, let's go to Because, and then it'll bring me to the storyboard. and I can either create a photo or create text. And then it literally gives me all of the different stuff to create that story to go up. I can pick the font. Let's say I want it to be a headline and I just want to do hello all. And then I can just go ahead and share to my stories. So you can do that in the Creator Studio. The other great thing about the Creator Studio is you can come here, and who knew that you could post directly to Instagram from your Creator Studio. So you can come here, you can create your post. You can create a post in your Instagram feed, which is your timeline, or you can create a post for IGTV. So a little bit difference between IGTV and your stories. Your stories are those short snippet videos, real quick to the point. I only got a couple of seconds to get it in. IGTV is for your longer videos. So a video that you would put on YouTube, you can probably put on IGTV. That's what you can start series and different things like that. That's how to use IGTV. And then it's just like setting up a regular thing. You can upload a file, put in if you're familiar with YouTube, you can upload your picture, put in your text, describe your video, and then publish it, and it'll go to your IGTV page. So that's a little bit about IGTV. And then you can get to your insights, right? So you can click insights, and then all of your insights will come up as well. Yeah, and so you're able to do both Facebook and Instagram from the Creator Studio. So I did want to show you guys that, and that's business.facebook.com/Creator Studio. You can do /home, and it'll take you there. If you Google Facebook Creator Studio, it'll take you right there. So that's another thing that you can do as well. All right. I think is that it for Instagram? Yes, so that's it for Instagram and Facebook. We're about to move into Twitter. Are there any questions about Instagram and Facebook before I move into Twitter? Okay, are you guys getting the information you want? You put that in the chat box. Am I completely out of order of what I'm presenting? Is it good information? It's silent. So I'm going to assume that I'm doing a good job in providing you the information that's being provided. All right. Thank you so much. All right, I want to make sure I still have your attention. Let's move to Twitter because we have some questions about Twitter. Twitter is a platform. It is known for its short-term interactions and limited character posts. For this reason, it is seen as a good place for quick news, updates, events, breaking news, customer service, and driving discussion. Some even have channels for their customer service. So we talked about that customer service engagement. Take into consideration Comcast. They have their Comcast Twitter page, and then they have their Comcast Cares page, which is specifically for customer service, so that they know that that probably needs to be manned 24 hours a day, right? Is the Comcast Cares page. And then from their Comcast page, they can throw them over to Comcast Cares. A lot to take in. I know, I'm so sorry. It is a lot to take in, but it's good information. But the thing is, we still have a lot to go. So hopefully it'll be able to help you. A lot of people go to Twitter to get the latest news, follow publications, follow influencers. I can let you know my personal use for Twitter. If there is a breaking news event, I fly to Twitter. If there is the debates was on Twitter. No, hands down, that was my channel to go to because it's so quick. It's live time. You can see what everybody is saying. You can see both sides. You can follow hashtags. So I want to address these questions. Let me scroll up because there was a question on the chat. Would Twitter require more of an immediate response? I would say yes, because Twitter is that real live time channel. So if you post it, you might want to just kind of have it up. However, don't be discouraged in posting because you won't be available to answer. Just be aware that if you put out a post on Twitter, you just might have to pay attention to it because people may answer. However, if you are in a Hootsuite or something like that, you can go in and answer all of your comments from all of the platforms at a particular time of day. Again, if you can, in your bio, usually on between this time and this time, or questions answered this time through this time, put that SLA in there so that people are at least aware. But definitely go ahead and get your content out there if you can. Okay, so great. I hope that answered that question. All right, so let me carry on. Okay, move some stuff around. Perfect. All right, so let me see. Right now, Twitter, it used to be 140 characters. Now it's a 280 characters. But it is found that the most common length for Twitter messages are 33 characters. That's kind of like one sentence, which you'll see come across. Again, like I said, it's quick, it's fast. If you have an event, jump on Twitter, put, updates in regards to your event. If you're on a training, jump on Twitter, put updates in regards to your training, different things like that. Number of users, 187 million. Largest age group is between 30 and 49. And check this out, huge male population on Twitter. So if you're trying to reach males, Twitter might be the place to go to. 56% have either completed some college or have a degree. 31% of American Twitter users earn over $75,000 per year. Donations? Possibly. Time spent per day is usually 3 minutes, and that's because people are quick. They want to know their information. They're in and out. Most Twitter users only tweet twice a month, but they're on the channel daily. So their personal pages, they might only have 2 tweets on there for that month, but they're checking it every single day. However, as an organization, your tweets should be coming out regularly. Best times to post are in the morning. You can do weekday mornings, but hands down Wednesdays and Thursdays. Also, really interestingly enough, webinars are best on Thursdays as well. We did with one of the organizations where we actually switched their webinar days. Engagement flew through the roof just by switching the day. So do some research on what days and times and stuff work best for people, and start looking into some of the statistics that fall behind that. 5 to 20 times a day. So if you can schedule it out, you can post anywhere on Twitter from 5 to 20 times a day. I know it seems a lot, but think about, we'll talk about repurposing content more later on. You can just take a newsletter or a blog, turn it into 20 posts. They're only a sentence long, and then schedule them out. So that's a way to save time and just get it done and still get that engagement that you're looking for. Twitter ads. To do Twitter ads, you can go to ads.twitter.com. You can also get it from the menu section at Twitter. And then there are 5 goals of Twitter ads. Create awareness, tweet engagement, like retweets, likes, more. Promoting and growing your followers, getting website clicks, so that call to action to then put that person in your funnel to get them over to your website or whatever you need them to do. And then to get more downloads on particular apps, or let's say you want them to join an event, different things like that. So you can come to your ads.twitter.com. You can create a campaign. It will also show you, this is some engagement of, things that people, these were some test ads that went out. Your organization and the ads will show here. I did block that out because I didn't want to show the organization, but you can see kind of the total budget that they put for that ad, and then results. They were just trying to test out the ads just to see what would happen. You can stop ads if you like. So you can have a budget for your ads and you find out it's not working, then you can stop that ad. But if you want to use ads, you can really focus it on, like I said, growing traffic and your engagement. So this is from the Twitter menu. If you log on to Twitter, you can go to your left-hand side menu, right? That's where everything is. Click on the More button, and then Twitter ads will pop up. And that will take you to your Create a Campaign. So you can either use this link or you can do it that way. Let's see here. Just as Facebook, Twitter will walk you through the ads until you have completed it, taking the goal into consideration. So when you come in, you're going to see the same thing. Are you trying to gain awareness? Are you trying to gain consideration, conversion, your reach, your videos, different things like that? What are you trying to do? Take that into consideration. Develop your goals. Then from there, you want to click next, and it will just walk you through the campaign, ask you about your budget. What is it? You can put that in. And that's the ad group details. So you have a particular budget for a certain number of ads or just the one ad. And then your demographics. The great thing about Twitter's demographics is you can really drill down. So you can get as far down as to, I want to send ads to people that are only using Apple phones or Apple products. Android devices. I only want it on mobile, or I only want it on desktop. This is where you start integrating, because if you're tracking your inbound marketing, you can see, if you have the right platforms in place, where people are coming from, whether the majority of your followers are Apple users, Android users, if they're coming to you from mobile, if they're coming to you from desktop. So then you can take that information, right, by checking your website and analytics, take that information and say, well, when I do my Twitter ad, I know that most of my traffic is coming from Apple. Now I want to engage Android users. And you can choose Android users, or vice versa. I know that most of my traction is coming from Apple users. So I just want to go out to Apple users because I want to build that particular area. You can even drill down to, and this is just an example, this just shows you how far you can drill down in the different areas of the demographic. What type of service provider they have, whether it's Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, different things like that. So if you are in a particular area, let's say Southern Maryland, and you know that most of the people in Southern Maryland are like Comcast or they're like Verizon users, or you can get those statistics, that may help you place your ad. You can use that as a demographic. All right. You can look at your analytics. And then it'll tell you, by being in that ads manager, you can look at your analytics, and it'll tell you, just general analytics as well. Not that you can look at your ad analytics, but then you can also look at your general analytics. So you can see like whether your organic tweets are working, how long they've been working over a particular time. You can see that you put out or got 43 impressions on your tweet. So they just saw your tweet. They didn't necessarily take an action, but they saw your tweet. So you can see all of that when you click on analytics. And then you can scroll down to look at engagement, your engagement rate, different things like that. All right. So next, I'm going to go into LinkedIn. Are there any questions about Twitter? So hashtags, you can use the same hashtag on all of the platforms, but if I'm in Twitter, I'm only going to see the hashtags. Oh, I'm sorry, let me read the question. I use hashtags, not sure if I use them right though. Do they cross over all platforms? I can't be in Twitter and see hashtags from Facebook. I have to log into Facebook and see hashtags from Facebook. So you can use the same hashtag across the platforms. Like if you have an event hashtag and it's like hashtag, because I care. I can use hashtag because I care across Twitter, Facebook, and so forth, but I can only see the engagements associated with that hashtag on those particular channels, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure that you're using it right. It's just to track and make sure that you're a part of a larger conversation. So hopefully that helps. I love the Chesapeake Railway Museum. Also, I live in Calvert. So just shout out to the Chesapeake Beach Railway Museum. All right, glad that could be helpful. All right, I'm moving into LinkedIn. Oh my goodness, I'm running out of time. There's so much information. Okay, so LinkedIn is known as a business platform. If you're looking to share professional news, ask business questions, need referrals or endorsements, and share or gain business or industry content, LinkedIn is where you need to be. LinkedIn, I would say, is like Facebook, but not like Facebook at all. It is the Facebook of business. You cannot share the same content that you are sharing on Facebook that you are sharing on LinkedIn. Your content on LinkedIn should be strictly professional. It is Facebook that you have the more daily life, family cookout style. Think of Facebook as like a cookout, and then think of LinkedIn as like a professional networking mixer. That's the difference, and that's how your content should be on these channels. LinkedIn caters to an older audience. And that is because a lot of people that use LinkedIn are settled in their careers. So these are the statistics: 738 million users. Largest group is 46 to 55. 40% of American internet users are users who have the internet. Sorry, internet users in generally. 46 to 55 have used the platform. That's 40% of internet users. That's huge. So if you're looking for partnerships, people who are in higher level positions, usually when you're in that age range of 46 to 55, you're kind of settled in your career, LinkedIn is where you need to go to do that. Board members, if you're looking for board members, LinkedIn is the perfect place to go and look for those board members. 57% use it against mobile devices, so you'll need desktop optimization as well as mobile optimization. 63% of LinkedIn users access the network monthly, 22% weekly. Most have some type of college degree and earn over $75,000 a year. And then we did say that 40%, just again, of users, because that's a huge thing, have used the platform ages 46 through 55. Best times to post on LinkedIn are during business hours. Never post anything on the weekends. You will get absolutely no traction. Remember, it is a professional social media channel. People are usually on while they're working. You can post 3 times a day. So just make sure like that 8 to 5 time frame or 9 to 5 time frame, that's usually when you're posting. To get to LinkedIn's advertising, you can just click the little advertising. This is the main navigation. You can click the little advertising target and it'll take you into LinkedIn. At this point, everything is pretty much the same. It walks you through. The difference about LinkedIn is it puts things into campaigns. So I want to explain that a little bit. Campaigns or the campaign group are your themes for that particular campaign. So you might have like a cold calling theme, or you might have a webinar theme. Let's say you do a webinar every month. Those are your themes that go into the campaign groups. Your campaign is where you set up your budget. So now for my webinars, I have a budget of this amount that I want to put into this campaign. So that's how you set up your campaigns. And then you have your ads. So it's kind of like broken down into 3 tiers. And then let's see what we got here. So you have your campaign groups, you have your create your campaigns, which is what we talked about, where you can put in your budget, and then you create your ads, right? Same thing as Facebook. I won't go too in depth about this because all the channels start to look the same when you get to this level. You can create for brand awareness, consideration, conversions. You can pick your audience. You can pick your ad format, where you want to place it. Your budget is shown. Pretty much the same things. You can choose whether you want a single image ad, carousel image, we talked about, video ads, we talked about, follower ad or the ads that follow you. And then the conversion ads, a call to action to actually get them converted over. They're formatted, so you can click into it. It's already formatted and it'll tell you more about the ad. And then once you get in, you can, again, look at your target audience and start narrowing that stuff down. So that's pretty much it for LinkedIn. Let me go back because I just want to make sure that I hit all the points in regards to LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn, again, great drilling down. You can target, like let's say you're a recruiter. I'm just going to use a recruiter for a nonprofit. This is how you can get your team engaged. You can drill down, or if you're looking for board members in a particular industry because you want your board to be diverse, you can drill down to job titles, job functions, industry, education level, location, and honestly, the list goes on and on and on. So think of everything professionally that you would want about a person, and that can go into your persona. We'll talk a little bit about personas, and then you can use that to set up your ads. So if you're trying to reach sponsors, board members, or establish business partnerships, let's say you have a grant, and your grant, you can't do everything in your grant and you need a business partner to get the money funded for that. You need to team up with another organization. Go to LinkedIn and see if you can make a connection there, because that would be the place to do it. So nonprofits, I think, it's more of a B2B channel, but nonprofits, I think, can get a lot of benefit out of LinkedIn. Are there any questions about LinkedIn?
Yeah, there is a question in there.
Should you have an organization LinkedIn account or organization? Well, you should have both. If you are a leader in the organization, you should definitely have a LinkedIn page, because people will contact you through your LinkedIn page. Okay, we're in COVID right now. LinkedIn is all about virtual networking. So if you want to network, you definitely need to have a personal LinkedIn page, especially if you're, a higher up in the organization. Then your organization should also have a business page that caters particularly to the posts associated with that organization. Now, It's kind of like in Facebook where you have to have a page in order to set up a business page. My tip there is make a kind of dummy page if you can, because what happens, or what you don't want to get trapped in, is if somebody leaves, now you have to shift all of that stuff over. The same thing with ads. For instance, if I'm on my personal page, but I'm an admin for a business page, and I use my page to put in the ads, or I can't then have my staff go in and look at those ads to pull the analytics, or I can't then have a volunteer or my board member go in and pull those analytics because it's under my personal page. If I have a business page, a dummy page set up that's like a individual profile, then you can give them the information to that dummy page. You can always change the password if they leave, but give them the information to the dummy page. And now anybody you need that can go set up the ads or to look at those analytics, you can do it that way. So for personal reasons, I think it's good to have a LinkedIn page. But if you're not comfortable with having a LinkedIn page, do a dummy page and then link your business page to that dummy page, just so everybody that you need to see the analytics will be able to see the analytics associated with that. Because if you do it on your personal page, you'll have to give out your personal information for them to see it, or you'll have to pull a report, and you could just save yourself so much time. It's all about those resources and saving time. So I hope that answered the question. Are there any more questions about LinkedIn? All right. Now these next couple of channels, we went over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm gonna go over YouTube, and I'm gonna skim through Pinterest, TikTok, and Snapchat, because I know you guys aren't using those channels right now, but I do want to give you the information. So key points about Pinterest: females, ages 30 through 49. If that's who you're trying to cater to, you need to be on Pinterest. It's more of a visual platform. They have a higher income as well. They spend a little bit more time on the platform because it is thought, it gets them to think. People that use Pinterest want to try new things. They want to start a new project, and they want to be inspired. So Pinterest is a place to share things about like cooking recipes and artwork, and like if you have services, around art, different things like that, inspirational messages, quotes, day-to-day life, general things like that. Sometimes we use Pinterest personally, but we don't necessarily use it for the organization. But if you're trying to get this demographic, that's where you need to be. Best times to post on Pinterest or pin, they don't have to be your actual post, you can just pin to your boards, are Saturdays and evenings, because this is when people are really looking through the channel to get engaged. And you can pin or post in between 5 to 30 times a day. Pinterest ads, when you go in, you have a Pinterest business account, not a personal account, but a business account. It'll give you an option for the business hub. It'll also allow you to create directly from that hub to view your analytics and then to establish your ad. You can pick pins as far as ads are concerned to promote. You just can decide on targeting just as the other channels, and then pay for the results that you want. But it is photograph based. So, or like you can use like memes or GIFs, but just keep in mind that it is a very, like Instagram, it is a very visual channel. You can do an ad for a blog post is an idea, and then just use that visual from Canva or whatever as the pin for people to pin on their board. So it's like interest, but you're pinning, so it's Pinterest, right? All right. All right, let's see. Same thing. Once you get into these things, they're pretty much the same at that point. You can create a campaign. This like that layered approach. You can add ad groups, build awareness. They'll walk you through the particular types of ads that you're trying to do. You can get conversions, whatever your goals are. You do want to pay attention to your goals. And then it also provides you insights. So you can click on your tag manager or conversions, and you'll start to see insights within that particular channel altogether. All right, so that's Pinterest. Any questions on Pinterest? For sharing free educational content. Very good point. Yeah, so we talked about that 80-20. You want to be educational? Great idea. You could use Pinterest to share the educational content. Going into TikTok, and like I said, I'm gonna fly through these last two channels. This is your younger generation. Largest group is 18 to 24. However, 32% of TikTokers are in between the ages of 10 and 19. Some are the majority are females, but you still have about kind of like a half and half split. And then people utilize TikTok for 45 minutes or more. Best times to post on TikTok are early mornings between 6 and 10 a.m. People on their way to school, and then nighttime between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. So definitely the beginning of the day, end of the night, and usually people are posting about 1 to 2, 3 times a day. I fell in love with TikTok during COVID. That's when my love for TikTok became real. I was kind of one of those people that migrated over because it's extremely hilarious. You guys might know TikTok because they had that national security issue. They got all of that squared away, so we don't have to worry about that, because for a minute there, they were talking about banning TikTok. But all of that is fine now. TikTok in the US is still going strong, and it seems like the platform really just grew overnight. But again, if you're trying to reach the younger generation, TikTok is a channel that you can definitely use to do that. It's creative, like focuses on brand awareness and things of that nature, but you can do brand takeovers. You can do with your campaigns, in-feed ads. We saw the in-feed ads as you're scrolling, the ads come in. You can also do hashtag challenges, which TikTok's marketing professionals will work with you to put that together. And you can also just do challenges that you just made up. Like people do dance-off challenges, or they'll do specific activities, different things like that. So that's kind of the realm of TikTok, but it's really just hilarious in your free time, if you just go in and scroll. Let's see. The reason I'm going into ads too, I do want to put that out there, is because organic post depends on the algorithm. Ads, you can actually target who you want to target. And because the algorithm is always training, it's not necessarily guaranteed that people are seeing your post. You may have 1,000 followers, but you might, like we said earlier, be only getting a little bit of engagement. So that's when you might want to consider an ad. So that's why I'm going over ads. I just want to let you guys know that. Snapchat, number one when it comes to the youth. To the youth. You have about 265 million users. The largest age group is 13 to 34. And then you have kind of a little bit of an equal split, a little bit more females on Snapchat. People are usually on for 26 minutes, and they post like all the time, or 30 times a day. Like they're off and on Snapchat at least 30 times a day. The reason for that is Snapchat is really an all-in-one kind of encompassing platform, because you can go in, there's a text messenger in there, you can make video calls, you can do regular phone calls, you can send snaps privately, you can send snaps corporately. So it really is a little hub within itself. And a lot of times the younger generation will utilize Snapchat instead of sending regular text messages. So that is why it's so popular amongst teenagers and that younger population. When you're posting, you want to look for the bedroom watchers. Usually people are on Snapchat, interestingly enough, after 10 p.m. So kind of like into the late night hours, wee morning hours, and that's on any day of the week. So you can post, but when people are watching, usually that's when they are watching. If you want to learn more about Snapchat, it's a YouTube link, and you can really just YouTube learn how to use Snapchat. But this particular video, and you can just snap it or take a screenshot, write it down really quickly, will help you. It was a great video on just how to use Snapchat, like just getting your account set up, what snaps are, what snap maps are, because snap maps on Snapchat are heat generated maps where it'll show you where snaps are occurring within a particular region. And so you can use the snap map to your benefit when snapping, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to go too in depth with it, because I know we don't have a lot of people using Snapchat, but that's just something to consider in seeing those. Same exact thing. You get into your channels, you'll see your name at the top. You can create your ads. You can set the goal for whatever your ad is, and it'll walk you right on through the ad manager, and you can just fill out the information. You can look at your demographics. You can set your budget. You can look at, you know, the estimates associated with that. All that information comes up. And then this is a Snapchat. So really quickly, this is what Yingling did. They have, the great thing about Snapchat and why it's so popular also is it has augmented reality where it can place people in the actual snaps. So you got to think about it creatively. If you're an animal-centered organization, you can do a filter and then have your logo in the background, and your filter might be cat ears or different things like that. If you're a, let's say organization, I know organizations that help people with cancer with their makeup and doing hair and stuff like that. You can use a filter, put your logo in the background. You can do augmented reality. The other thing about Snapchat is you don't necessarily have to be on Snapchat to utilize Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat specifically for the augmented reality and the filters. I then save it, right? So I use it as a creation app. I save it. And then you can then disperse it on the other channels, and it increases your engagement. So sometimes you'll be on your channels and you'll see people posting their TikToks on their Facebook, you know, different things like that. You don't necessarily have to post to Snapchat specifically. And you can also engage with the text messaging, the video calls, and different things like that. So that's just one of the ways to think about Snapchat. Any questions about Snapchat before we run into YouTube? Y'all still with me? All right, I'm moving forward. YouTube. We did have some YouTube viewers or users out there. Again, it's the second largest search engine base with 2 billion users, the largest group in between 15 and 25 years old. And let me tell you, this age group watches YouTube like they're watching television. They'll just scroll and scroll and scroll for hours. Genders are 70% of all female internet users and 72% of all male internet users. That's all male and female users on the internet. So you definitely, if you can, want a presence on YouTube. And you can do like series of videos. The time spent on YouTube is usually about 41 minutes. Best time to post is in the afternoon. And that's so that your video can be ready for evening watchers. A lot of people start watching evening in the YouTube. Keep in mind that watch YouTube in the evening. Keep in mind that with YouTube, they are a search engine. So when people go to YouTube, they're usually searching for something. So think about that in your keywords and your optimization and everything else like that. You can post to YouTube once a week, but if you're not able to do that, like maybe once every 2 weeks, or just have that constant interaction. Some people post once a month. Just find out what works for you and then post that way. Your YouTube ads, there are plenty of ads that you can utilize. Bumper ads come in the YouTube main section, video section. Those are your 6-minute ads that play before the video. Display ads show up in the video suggestion list. In-stream ads, those are the videos that show up during the stream, and they're literally in the middle of the screen. Some of them are skippable, some of them are not skippable. So usually the skippable ads, you can skip after 5 seconds. You then have overlay ads, which are at the bottom of the video. And then you have pre-roll ads, which are also in the beginning. Well, pre-roll ads are pre-roll. They're before the video, and you cannot skip those ads. Usually those are about 15 to 20 seconds long. So when you're thinking about YouTube, it's kind of like a television commercial, but because the bumper ads are only 6 seconds, you can skip ads. And sometimes you can only have 15 to 20 seconds to do your ad. You want to make sure it's engaging and enticing because you want to grab people before they skip your ad. Okay, that was a lot of information, guys. With the last little bit of the class, I just want to go through personas and different things like that. To be respectful of your time, I might have to fly through it. But if you guys have any questions or anything, like you've been doing, definitely ask along the way. Some additional key points are, don't use social media as your standalone tactic. The younger generation, if you're trying to reach them, consider Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Those who are 25 to 40, you're most likely going to find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Depending on, male and female, you might want to focus your efforts on Twitter as opposed to Pinterest. Anybody older, you're going to be looking at Facebook and LinkedIn. But remember, Facebook is the cookout, LinkedIn is the mixer, the networking mixer. So just some things to think about there. And then also consider the different demographic times and the differences in the channel means that you're going to have to present your content differently. So I know people like they have their accounts linked and the same is going on here, that's going on there. Think about it a little bit more strategically. If you know that females are going to be on Pinterest, then the post might look a little bit more feminine, right? Or have a little bit more of a feminine element to it, maybe floral arrangements, whatever the case is. Then it may look on Twitter. If you're posting on Facebook, you might want to post something about, day-to-day life and achievement that someone receives on Facebook, but that achievement post might be a little bit more down to earth than maybe a more high resolution picture or professional picture of the same achievement that's going on LinkedIn. So just consider that when you're doing your post. And you want to meet people where they are. That is your job. Find out where they are and then meet them where they are. So let's start with that. And we're going to go into next with what? Oh, go ahead, Kara.
This is Kara. Before you moved on, I just wanted to note that there is a question in the chat from a few moments ago. Someone asked if you could repeat those different ads again.
Sure. For YouTube? Was it for YouTube?
I believe.
I think it was for YouTube. Yep. So the bumper ads, let me go right back to this so you can see where all the ads are. And you could probably go on YouTube and search YouTube ads and then they'll come up, right? But the bumper ads are the ones that are the 6 seconds, right? Those are in your main feed, okay? The display ads show up in the video suggestion box, and those are display ads. They're in the display section, okay? In-stream ads are the ones that are in the midst of in-streaming. So they're the ones that are in the middle of the ads. Could be 5 seconds. They might be really good with like success stories, different things of that nature. Some of them are skippable. Some of them are not skippable. Overlay ads are the ones at the bottom of the video. You know how you're watching a video and you see like that little hovering thing at the bottom? Those are overlay ads. And then your pre-roll ads are the non-skippable ads that come before the video. But if you do Google it, or you just Google YouTube, YouTube ads, or using YouTube ads or different things like that, then you'll find a wealth of information. Also go back to those resources I had, and I have another slide showing those resources. Social Media Examiner, Sprout Social, you'll find a lot of this information on those channels as well. So you can utilize that to get that. Let me see if you haven't done so already, please. Oh, sorry, you guys are networking. All right, great. I'm glad to see the networking is going. All right, we did our quick review. All right, social media as a networking tool. In these last few minutes, I'm gonna fly through it. Screenshot this. This is your buyer persona. Before you do any advertising, you need to know who you're advertising to. So I would say if you have people that are close to you, that are sponsors, donors, volunteers, whatever group they're in, sit down, have a conversation with them, and do kind of like a focus group. Another thing you can do is if you're in Facebook groups, you can jump into the Facebook group and then ask different questions, see who's in that group, especially if it's an industry group, and you can start to get this information. How old are the people that are interested in your organization? What about the people that are sponsoring? What industries are they in? Are they people with kids or without kids? What locations are they in? What do they like? What don't they like? You can ask these questions and start to generate this list. And then you know, okay, well, my target is a male who's 34, who is a software developer. So he's probably going to have a higher income. I might want to be on Twitter as opposed to Facebook, because remember, Facebook is most popular for people who have lower income. But then because he is a male that's 34 and he still falls in that age range, he might have a Facebook page. So I might want to be on Facebook page, Facebook as well. Not Instagram, not necessarily, TikTok, Snapchat. And depending on the level of position that he's in, if he's an entry level, he may not be on LinkedIn. However, if he's executive level, most likely he's on LinkedIn. So this is how you can use this to then cater your content to that particular demographic. I'm just going to fly through these really quickly. This is why, oops, sorry guys. This is why you want to cater your demographic, because then you'll start to see how to analyze the posts that are putting out there. You'll focus on being transparent, providing understanding, see what's happening and what will happen in the future. You'll be able to forecast. This is why you want to measure. These are the reasons right here. So if somebody says, well, why are you spending time on going to that class? Or why are you spending time trying to figure out the back end of Facebook? Just post and see what happens. This is the list that you need so that you can make sure that, hey, I know that I can build gaps between my team. I know that I can put out certain content, tactics out there and they will work out well. This is why I need to measure. This is the reason. All right, couple things here. You want to make sure you map it out. You can make a digital strategy. It can be in between 1 to 3 years out. Consider your stakeholders. Who are you trying to reach? Think about buy-in from your team. Who are the people that are thought leaders in your industry that you can utilize? Can you get your HR department involved? Because they help with employee morale and have employee programs and do the recruitment, different things like that. Where is that buy-in coming from? Give each channel a purpose, develop a timeline, develop a budget, develop your content calendar, which I'll give you an example of, and consider any roadblocks. When starting, or every 6 months, I would say you want to do, or at least annually, if anything annually, do a content audit and then set up your goals. What is it that you're on social media for, and why are you on social media? Because this is what we're trying to avoid. Lack of resources, right? You need to develop a strategy so you don't end up like this. Instead, you'll end up like this. Confident, informed, productive, and effective. Okay, so here's some key points for formatting your strategy. Think about who's your audience. That goes back to your persona. Think about what you're going to say. What type of content that is valuable to the consumer are you putting out there? Where will you say it? What channels are you going to put out there? How often will you say it? How often you will be posting? And strategize that out. Repurpose your content. Remember, you can do 2 blog posts a month. That's 1 every other week. From those 2 blog posts, you might be able to get 9 Facebook posts, 3 posts on LinkedIn, 4 Instagram posts, Twitter posts, because remember, they're just those ones, that's just that one sentence. You can get pins from Pinterest by just going into Canva or PicMonkey or any of those graphic tools, creating the graphics, and you can get 2 YouTube videos. Do a YouTube video on each blog. People like video content, and then link it back to your blog on your website. So then now you're bringing traction back to your website. Repurpose your content. Not everything needs to be new. You can sit down and write down your blog post and then take, maybe spend the first half a day planning it out, write your blog post, and then all of the content, just literally stripping it out of your blog post. If you want to do something a little similar, you can just think of it as a larger scale. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. I want to do 16 Facebook posts and 33 Twitter posts a month. And then you can break it down to say, okay, well, this is what it would take for me to do that weekly. And this is what it would take me, how much time it would take me to do that. Strategize. Remember, begin with the end in mind. Have the end in mind. You can strategize, and then everything just becomes automatic after that because you can schedule everything out. This is an example of a content calendar. You guys can screenshot this. But basically, you have the date. You can put all of your content, the date, like let's say we take March. I can put all, March 1, March 2, March 3, March 4, March 5, and go down the list. I can then put in the topic of the post that I want, and I can write out the posts for Facebook, Twitter, however, Instagram, For Twitter, making sure how many characters I have, linking, right, whatever image or video I want to use, and then any additional links. So you can come here and you can say, okay, the 1st of March, I want a Facebook post, but then on the 3rd of March, I want a Twitter post. You then sit there, write it out, plan it all out, take this content calendar and schedule it out on like a Hootsuite or a HubSpot or, you know, some type of scheduler, Zoho, and then it will automatically generate for the rest of the month. You spend a day planning, you know, maybe a half a day organizing and scheduling, and the rest of your month is done. It's automatic. From there, all you have to really consider about if you want to add it is the real live time marketing. If you have multiple people in the department, you can generate a key or content guidelines that will show you whether or not the post has been approved. It still requires edits, or you can do this for yourself. Let's say you're just doing it from time to time. If it requires a review or if more action is needed. Okay, know what you're trying to achieve and have a poll. So this is the Zoom poll, and I'm about to wrap up, but I want to do the next Zoom poll, which is how many people have looked at their strategic plan in the last 6 months? Can we get that poll on the screen? Ah, there we go. And then there's another question that how many have looked at their organization's strategic plan in the last 12 months? Great. We have about half and half. That's very interesting. If you have not done so, you need to pull out your organization's strategic plan. Remember, you are setting up goals for the organization, not yourself. So you have to make sure that your social media content is being put out there to achieve the organization's goal. Don't say, I want to grow my my email list if the organization, their plan is to promote sales or increase sponsorships. Because how is your email list, unless you have a campaign generated, getting money for you? So unless there's some way that you can incorporate the ask in that email, there's no point in growing your email list. Think about it strategically. Look at the goals of the organization and see, okay, how can I utilize social media to reach those organizational goals? All right, let's see where we are. You want to make sure that you set up SMART goals. This is just an example of one goal that is not SMART: increase engagement on my social media channels. Okay, that's great. But will it increase? You know, what kind of increase are you looking for? Is it a 2% increase? Is it a 2% increase between, you know, 1 month? Is it a 2% increase within 6 months? You know, how long should it take? Is it an increase in repeat customers or is it an increase in new customers? So you want to make sure that your goals are SMART, because if not, you'll just get cluttered in the data. Here's an example of SMART goals: being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Making sure you're asking for specific, the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. Measurable, how much and how many. Attainable, is it reasonable or is it too far-fetched? Are we in the current environment where I should be doing this? Or, for instance, prime example, I want to plan an event. Well, are we in the environment that you're going to plan an event? Or are we in an environment where you might need to think of more of a virtual event? You know, is it attainable? Those type of things. Who are the people performing the task? Do they have the skill level to perform that task? Consider those type of things. Is it relevant? Again, going back to the organization's goals. And is it the right time? Is it time sensitive? Are you able to put your campaign out in the amount of time that you have to do it? So you want to make sure that your goals are SMART. This is just a framework. Feel free to screenshot it, snip it, do whatever you need to do to help you go over your goals, to make sure that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And then from those goals, so you take your strategic plan, you set up your goals. From those goals, you then go to your social media and developing your campaign. Just want to give you a quick example of what SMART goals look like. Taking increased engagement on my social media channel. A SMART version of this goal would be double the engagement on Facebook over the next 6 months by publishing one interactive poll, questions, or contest each week. You can now take this goal and you can then put it on your social media channel to say, okay, I know that I need to post at least a question or a poll or some type of contest each week, and put that into your content calendar. Metrics that matter. I'm just going to show you these really quickly. These, you can Google what metrics to follow. We went over insights and it shows you all of the metrics are there. The key point is here is just make sure that you list out your key performance indicators, which are indicating values that demonstrate how effective your campaign is going to be. So for instance, if you're trying to gain reach, you want to focus on follower counts, which can be a vanity metric. So you have to be careful about follower counts, but specifically for reach, it will work, right? Everybody wants followers, but are they being engaged? Are you getting a return on your investment? Those are the questions you need to be asking. But for reach, if that's your goal, follower counts, impressions, mentions, and shares. Engagement, you can look at post likes, comments, sharings, retweetings, ratings and reviews, anything that is engaging that consumer to help you. Return on investment, everybody wants that. You know, look at your conversions. You're posting out on social media. Is that bringing traction to your website? Is that bringing traction to your webinars? What about that downloadable that you have? You just put out a blog. You posted it on your social media. Are people reading that blog from that social media channel? Look on your return on investment to see if you're actually getting the return for the investment that you're making. If you know that one sponsorship is worth $2,000, then you know that you have, and you spent $100 on an ad to boost sponsors, and you got a lead to a sponsor who later on, it may take time, but later on became a sponsor, you know that that $100 was definitely worth it, because now you have that extra funding that you can put into your organization. That's how you want to think of what you want to think of when it comes to return on investment. And then retention and loyalty, your service level agreement, your customer service, your reviews and ratings, your customer satisfaction. And there's something called a net promoter score that will put you against others in the industry or just in customer service. You want to make sure you have a high net promoter score, and you can just Google net promoter score and then that will come up. All right, I should have been clicking while I was talking. Sorry guys, so you guys can see where I am. I'm still thinking I'm in the classroom. All right. You want to make sure that you're listening, that you're doing social monitoring and then social listening. Monitoring is monitoring for messages that are directly brand related or responding to messages so you can respond to those messages appropriately. Remember, you're just not pushing content out, you're pulling feedback back in. Social monitoring will allow you to do that, as well as social listening, which is understanding your audience to improve your campaign strategy and looking at the pretty much full spectrum and relevancy of your brand. People are talking about you whether you're on these channels or not. Even if you're not on a channel, just get on the channel and put in your organization name and see if anything comes up in the search engine to see what people are saying about you. All right, making them work for you. And I'm closing out. I know we're going a little bit over. Oh, sorry. I do want to give you these. For your analytics, if you're looking, so you don't have to jump from channel to channel to channel, you can look at Google Analytics. You can look at Google Data Studio. HubSpot has an analytical platform we discussed. Another one is Pardot, if you're using Salesforce, which some of the larger organizations are, it's a component of Salesforce. I've heard of Alexa, has Tagify, and then you always have your built-in tracking mechanisms that will allow you to track. Oh, that's even good. Woo, I was rushing down. I'm glad the class goes. Okay, I thought I was running out a little bit of time, but I really appreciate that. Okay, so just to let you guys know, you can take a screenshot of this because I do want to leave time for answers and questions as well. Hootsuite Insights is also available. Yes, if you guys have anything that you utilize that works for you, please put them in the chat as well. I did want to give you, because we were doing resources, a lot more resources that you can utilize so that you have what you need in front of you. Okay, but please, if you have any more, put them in the chat. 3 tips from Buffer. Okay. 4-year strategy. Now, you guys have received a lot of tools, right? So even when paying for tools, because sometimes people will, they'll come in, they'll be like, well, what about this tool? What about this tool? Or I use this tool, kind of like we've been doing in this class. You want to see what tools work for you. So 3 tips from Buffer are: you write down the 25 most important features you think you will need in a tool. Write them down, okay? From there, you want to list and circle your top 5 features, okay? And then from there, you can use that list to evaluate what potential tools work for you. So when looking at spending money on tools, although a lot of the tools do have free options or trial periods, look and see what is most important for you and then evaluate those tools. And I know I'm kind of speeding through the end, so if you guys want to go back to anything when we get to the end, by all means, let me know and I can go over some of this stuff again. Evaluate your findings. Look for spikes in your evaluations. If you know that you have a dead period, prime example, schools might be dead during the summer, right? You have summer school, but other than that, different summer programs might spike up, schools might spike down. So the traction on your social media, take that into consideration. Don't get discouraged that if you're a summer program and you here comes August and September and your traction has gone way down, don't get discouraged. Just know that that's your slow period and take that into consideration when putting out your content, because at that point, your content changes. It might at that point become more or even more educational as opposed to activity-based when the programs are going on and you can showcase those real life pictures of people participating in the program. So look for spikes. You might be having a webinar, and that webinar is the reason why your website all of a sudden has a huge spike and everything that you're looking at as far as your analytics are concerned. So you can see that, oh, this is because we had that webinar. Oh, this is because we released that blog. Look for dips. If you didn't put something out, or if you did put something out and your blogs were doing great, your social media traction was doing great, your spikes were up, and all of a sudden there was this dramatic dip. Well, is the content that you put out during that dip time, was it relevant? Those are the things you want to look for when you're evaluating your findings. Keep a year-to-year comparison or even a month-to-month comparison. So you can see, like, last year we were here, this year in March we're here, and these are the tweaks that we might want to do because we're either trending down, or we might want to keep doing the same things because now we're trending upwards. So you want to make sure that you have those comparisons month to month. If you're doing the same thing month to month, why did you take a dramatic drop in March as opposed to starting out strong in January? Well, or the second quarter. For instance, if you're a gym, they say that gym traction goes up in January because everybody has those New Year's resolutions. So that's something that they need to consider. When I'm putting out the information, how can I then gauge my information to make sure that it's catering to those times that either benefit me or don't benefit me? For another example is Intrepid, Cybersecurity Month. If you have a month that's particularly catered to your industry, like I know there's Autism Awareness Month, there's Direct Support Employee Month, my past is disability, so that's why I know that there are these months. There might be I don't know, you guys could throw them in the chat if you can think of a month that's particular to your industry, but Google, national days or national months that cater to, like for instance, United Way does their Day of Caring. That's like a national thing, right? So the Day of Caring, you can just have something on that particular event or day or things like that, and then compare it year to year. Week of Young Children, right? So you know that during that time, because it's the week, it's national or international, you might gain more traction because people are looking for that information. So keep that in mind. All right. Use the data to create positive change, the change that you're looking for. May is Prevention Month. Oh, so museums benefit then. Oh, preservation month. I'm sorry, preservation month. That's really good. So that would be like your end time to really go in with your content, put out that educational content and start building that trust around the museum so that later on, when it's not that month, right, you can make that ask. That's kind of how that works. So utilize those things and it's content development. As long as you have these national months and things like that, donut day, maybe your staff goes get a donut on donut day, Slurpee day, go get a Slurpee and post it online. People like that stuff. Where would you post it? Most likely Facebook. Remember, day-to-day life. That's how that works, family oriented. So those are the things you want to, after you do it for a while, you just start thinking in that manner. But hopefully you receive the stuff that you need to get started today. Presenting your data, you can do bar charts. Bar charts are good for highlighting comparisons of different metrics, comparing quantities, or seeing categories in ascending and descending order. Line charts, and as you get into insights, you'll start to see all of this. Best for showing progression over time. So if you're making a comparison between year to year, as we discussed, or month, you can kind of see the difference between the line charts and see how you're doing well there. Pie charts are good when showcasing percentages or parts of a whole. So that's when you can kind of utilize pie charts. If you're using Excel, which I know a lot of people kind of utilize Excel, I suggest using one of the other items that we discussed. But for Excel in general, if you can learn how to use the pivot tables, that can be very beneficial for you just to start showing you trends. So there are other tables that you can utilize, such as just general tables, which is where the pivot tables would come in. You can also have area graphs that combine lines and bar charts to show trends or progress over time. And then heat maps, which kind of hone in on particular hot spots. You can use heat maps on like your website. You can see where the hot spots are on your website, what people are clicking on, what they're not clicking on, different things like that. Snap maps that we talked about specifically focused on, it's focused utilizing a heat map. You can open up the map and it's literally like you open up Google Maps, it's literally a map. And then you'll see heavy color or discolor in certain areas. And you can see that that's where the heavy usage is being used for Snapchat. So that's what the whole Snapchat is. That's kind of how heat maps are used. So data visualization will help tell your story. The big picture, you want to start with a plan. You want to establish your SMART goals. You want to discover your KPIs. You want to dive into your data dashboard, and you want to evaluate your findings. After that, you just want to repeat. Go back to your plan, evaluate your plan. Look at your goals again, set up your KPIs. The hard thing is getting started. It takes a while to get started because you have to put a lot of thought into it. But just like anything, once the framework is there and you're started, it's almost automatic like that. You can literally schedule a day and a half, 2 days out of a month to plan your social media, utilizing the content calendar, utilizing the plan framework, thinking about your buyer persona, putting all of that together, writing a blog, finding out what's going to be valuable to the people that you're trying to reach, and then taking that and then tearing it apart to repurpose that content and put it out there. So you do your plan, get everything written, or you get your one major article, because blogs are usually in between, I think it's like a 1,000 to 2,500 words is what a blog should be for SEO purposes. And then you can just nitpick out of that and create your content calendar, schedule it out, and you're done. So think again with the end in mind, okay? Begin with the end in mind. Lastly, these are the resources that we utilize today. If you have any questions, you can always go back to these resources and find the information that I talked about a little bit more in-depthly. I would say follow them on social media, right? Because that's what this class is about. Also, get their blogs, have them come to your inbox, listen to their podcast. If you're in the car, just driving, turn on a podcast and listen to it. And you'll start to see what works and what doesn't work and the latest trends in the industry. This is our information at Because. Feel free to contact me. You can just go to becausemarketing.com, hit the contact, and then fill out the form. And then we can get back to you and hopefully do something like a 15 to 30-minute consultation, talk about your social media, what may work, what may not work, and see what strategies may best benefit you. And with that, we have a little bit over 10 minutes left, I think. So if you guys want to discuss or want me to go back to anything I talked about, I know I kind of rushed through the end, or if you have a question about a particular channel, we can do that now. I see Kara's back on. Hi, Kara.
Well, while we're waiting to see if any more questions pop in and before people leave, just a couple of notes I do want to make mention of. If you haven't already, I know we've said this a few times, but it's really important for us. Please put your full name and name of your organization in the chat. Everyone should know the recording of this class will be available, as well as I believe you said selected slides, Sheba?
Yeah, so the resource slides with all of the resources and everything on them, I'm going to provide those slides so that you guys will have them too, because those will be very beneficial and helpful.
Okay. We're also going to send a class evaluation, and we would really appreciate if you would take 3 minutes of your time to fill it out. We use that information to inform future trainings. Finally, we will send a certificate of participation. This is really important for those of you who apply for grants from St. Mary's County government, because they want proof of your participation in Nonprofit Institute classes as a condition of receiving that grant. So you will get it. If you don't need it, don't worry about it, delete, or maybe you just want to hang it up on your wall. I don't know. And then 2 things, I'm going to put 2 links into the chat. Most of you on here receive our monthly newsletter. There are a few who do not, and I'm going to strongly suggest signing up so you can receive it on the first Tuesday of the month. Find out about upcoming classes, our community calls, our affinity group meetings, grant opportunities, especially local grants, and a lot more. And also of specific interest to those of you here today is our monthly PR marketing communication affinity group meeting. Find out about it in our newsletter and on our website, and I'll put that information in the chat. It's open to anyone. We meet once a month. We did take the month of March off, but we're back in action in April. We have a core group that comes every month, but we always have new people, and please join us. Don't hesitate. It doesn't cost anything. And the connecting and networking and sharing of information that goes on is tremendous.
Yeah. So. I've been in those meetings, are really good. So I had to put a plug in. If you want to know what people are doing and share information, those meetings are wonderful for doing that. If you have questions, you're amongst peers that are doing and trying to figure out the same things, you can definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and sometimes we have guests. You were a guest once.
Yes, I was.
There's just lots to talk about. And it's really good, even though, I guess the thing we've always said is you're stronger together than we are as individual silos.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
True, so.
Right.
But,
and the network is so big out there, guys. I mean, just, sometimes as nonprofits, you think about just the competitiveness, because we're always looking at each other as we all want donors and we all want sponsors. But if you really hone in on your target and their interests, that will benefit you way more, because then you're targeting the people who want to help your particular organization. So you're not necessarily competitors in that sense. So if you take some of the things that were discussed today and you really look at, the museum may have people who are interested in history, or just the different showcases that they have come through would be completely different than something that, for instance, I don't know, let me see, who do we have on here? Let's see, Parks and Rec, for instance, may have going on. So, where families are more looking for activities and things to get their kids, actively engaged in different things like that. So if you really drill it down to the interest of the target market and that persona, then you can really hone in and start to see the traction come forward for putting out the content that is valuable to them, and then the results that then brings in from your ROI.
And the other thing that goes on in that meeting too is sometimes somebody will have something they're struggling with, and we'll put it there, and everyone chimes in with ideas, suggestions, and so really everyone, it's like a support group, but everyone helps each other out. And like you said, even though there may be a competitive angle in that meeting, the idea is, what's said in the room or what's said in the Zoom stays in the Zoom. It has proven helpful for a lot of folks, as well as, new collaborations and new partnerships and new connecting. So feel free to join us. Yeah. The other thing too is we have 3 more classes coming up this spring, and they are all free. That's probably going to change in the fall. But, take advantage of this while you can. And I think I see a lot of thanks.
You're welcome, you all. I'm glad that I could bring you something. My goal is always, just making sure that you have something, at least just one thing that you could have got out of the class that you may not have gotten before. So I hope that I provided that to you today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your social media now take off. But the biggest thing is just make sure that you're planning and that you're following your organizational goals. And then putting that content forth, utilizing the different things that we talked about today. So I'm glad, you're always doing a class, you just never know. Right. So that's good. But if you guys have any questions, we're here, so just let me know. I'm glad everybody definitely learned a lot.
Sure seems like it. So that's great. Thank you so much for doing this, Sheba. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, congratulations on that LinkedIn page. Everybody go find Andrew's company LinkedIn page and like it. That's awesome. Oh, I do have to say, if you guys enjoyed today's class, because marketing does do blogs, we do our blogs, we put out our content, we highlight other marketers in the field that have great information coming out, the latest and greatest information. Follow us on our channels. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we're working on our Pinterest. So just to let you guys know, we are there. Feel free to follow us. And then sign up for our blog as well if you're interested, and you get direct news posts to your email account. So some of the things I talked about today will be coming out in the future. We focus on strategy and strategizing. So a lot of the things like your content calendar, your setting up your SMART goals, different things like that, and then taking that and being able to implement it to see that traction, getting the reporting back and how to utilize that reporting, and then presenting to like your board or whoever it is you need to present to. Those are the type of things that are going to come about in our information. So some of the more strategic stuff as well, if you're interested in that. I'm glad everyone learned so much.
Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of info. It was great info.
I know it was. Sometimes I'm wondering if I'm like, I hope I'm not drowning them. Another thing is, if you guys are looking for engagement content, I implore you to just jump on Snapchat and see if it's working. Utilize the augmented reality and the filters and save it and then put it on your other channels. I think that brings that brings a fun aspect to everything going on. So Snapchat has a lot of good filters and things that you can use that will make your other channels more fun and engaging. Not LinkedIn, but your other channels more fun and engaging. So I think that you could be able to generate traction there as well. And if anybody hears anything about this Clubhouse application, let me know. So that's the newest thing that's out there, trying to see where that's going.
I just started reading about it because I've been hearing about it and got overwhelmed, just something else.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. I'll see if I can look into it. Maybe we could do a class on Clubhouse or something like that. I try to see what it all entails. I have a couple of people that I know that utilize it and really like it. But I'm starting to hear more and more and more. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. You know, things they either come and they stick or they come and they go. We saw like that Data is Beautiful video in the very beginning, how quickly, you know, things can just fall off the charts and then pop up. So really making a place in the market, I think, is difficult even for the social media channels, which is why the algorithms and your pages keep changing, is because they're trying to keep it engaging. Unfortunately, for the marketing side, it's just more work because you have to relearn everything. But, you know, it is what it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And reach out to the Nonprofit Institute if you have, you know, questions, need assistance on something. If there's something we can do for you, we're here.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Kara. Thank everyone for joining.